Good afternoon, everyone. It is June the 9th, 2025. We are back. It is Scouching Live. Again, we are doing an afternoon show because Stanley Cup Final Game 3 is tonight between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. I am joined for one of the last times until the draft. My producer, AJ Jadero.
I believe it is the
AJ,
last time
it is
before
the
the
last
draft.
time.
Yep.
Yes, so AJ has a real job, and so he's going to be busy, and I'm away next week, so there's going to be no shows next week, but we have lots of content scheduled for then anyway.
hmm
AJ, how are you, man? What's going on?
I am recovering from a weekend overnight shift. I slept 1 hour on Saturday and then did back-to-back 12 hours, which was fantastic. And then I slept 15 hours from Sunday and early today. So
Nice.
I'm back on my normal time until it
Mhm.
gets ruined again for the weekend, as it always does.
Yes, of course, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, so I
But I love my
agree. I mean,
job. Please give me more opportunities. I love you
yeah,
all. Please. I'm a good employee. I promise. I
it,
promise.
it is more than possible to simultaneously be tired doing your job and be worked to the bone, but also like what you do. It is
I do.
entirely
I
possible.
actually
It is
do.
very possible. And honestly, I'd rather have that than work less and hate what I do. Um, so that's why I do what I do because I like what I do and I work all the time, but it doesn't feel like work. It's
Yep.
great. Now, do I make any money? Well, we're not unprofitable
Hey,
here,
hey,
but
hey. This is why you subscribe to scouching.ca
it's true.
and
Yes,
buy us a billion coffees so we can continue doing this
exactly. Yes,
forever, all right?
exactly. So,
But I'll be here for the
yeah,
draft stream. Both of them.
yes.
I took both those days off and I would have been working them had I not. So
Right.
we're good. We're
So
good.
on that note, I will mention we are going to do a show the night of the draft and the day of the second day. We're going to have some special guests on and a couple patching in remotely. We are also you can also go to the YouTube channel. All of the rest of the live shows until after the draft, like until we do a recap show after the draft is over, all of those are scheduled now on YouTube. So you can go to our YouTube channel and set a reminder on all of them all at once, and you won't miss another show. We're doing one Thursday. Then next week
You're
it's
doing one
mostly
Thursday that
or sorry, yes, Thursday. We're doing Thursday, and then next week we have content planned for every day while I'm gone. And then the week of the draft, it's going to be an extravaganza of all kinds of fun stuff going on. So you're not going to want to miss any of those because we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some final touches. And yeah, I mean, I'm locking in the rankings at the end of this week, so I'm going to shoot those over the weekend. It's going to be fun, and yeah, really looking forward to it. It's been a fun year. We're in the real home stretch now, and yeah, it's so far so good. Well, yeah, let's cut over to the only thing really going on in actual
Mhm.
NHL world, and that's the Stanley Cup Final. Another banger of a game, day two or game two. What do we got going on? I mean, the Panthers win in double overtime after the Oilers almost gave it away in the regulation time, I should say.
Yes.
Anyway, but who came to the rescue? Who was it of all
That
the
rat
Oilers?
effer.
No, but for the Oilers, right? The Oilers had
Oh,
a certain old man come to the rescue again.
I feel like
Corey
we've talked about the
Perry.
same guys over and over
Well,
again,
yes,
but it's just because they all end up being like featuring so prominently.
yes, and it's one of the, yeah, like we were talking about it before the show a little bit. Like Brad Marchand, it's like he's such a great fit in Florida, but also it's just he's a player who I feel like at the absolute moments when you need him, that's when he pops off that extra 10%, that extra 15%
He's
that
so
just
good.
that just gets you that little gap, right? Like that shorthanded goal he scored,
Oh yeah.
just a quick couple of steps and he's in behind the defense. Obviously, a similar thing on the overtime winner, just breaking in through the defense and beats Stu Skinner twice. And Skinner's been really good largely throughout this series, but I mean,
He has his bad moments too.
yeah, like it's funny. I actually my aunt and I go back and forth all the time during the Stanley Cup Final because she's the one who kind of got me into hockey when I was little, and she's a huge Leaf fan. Like she's got a Leafs logo on her license plate, so she doesn't screw around. And we were we were going back and forth, and she's like, I've been watching the Toronto Maple Leafs my whole life, and this year I thought they would go pretty deep, but watching these two teams, they're not like this. Like, this is just not what they are.
They're not.
And these two teams, like you said it before the show, these are the teams that deserve to be here. I mean,
Even if I bet against the Oilers every series
yes,
beforehand. I'm not
yes.
doing that now. I'm not doing that now, and it's gonna haunt me, isn't it?
Both of those teams have so much of like so much. You know what I mean? Like they have both teams have some skilled
They have
guys. Obviously,
something that is necessary for them to win. Like with the
yes.
Oilers, the star power on that team and just how good and consistent their forward group is ridiculous. Florida
Yeah.
overall just probably the best team in the league in terms of like pound for pound at every position, and
Yeah.
they turn depth guys into useful contributors always. Just because they
I
find and identify players who fit their system and they make them work. Like think about Nate Schmidt.
yeah.
Nate Schmidt bounced around in Vancouver and Winnipeg, and everybody thought he sucked. But the truth is, he just needs a high-paced system where where he can be a little more unhinged to do some offensive things. It's the truth
Yeah.
though, and
Yeah, no,
he's
you're
been
right.
really great.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's so interesting. Like this is why I love watching the playoffs so much. Not just because the hockey is good, but I think you get a really, really good grasp of why things work and where the weak points are in a team and why they are weak. Like
Yeah,
that's because it's like literally there's no like the margin of error at this level is so small. And teams that buy in and have a structure and a style of play that they stick to, and all four lines roll that style, at least three lines, right, are invaluable. And the thing is, though, with a team like Edmonton, they can do everything kind of like they can slow things down and wear you down. But Florida kind of is a higher pace energy type
yes.
team that wears you down. But Edmonton, like on the rush, Edmonton can be relentless, but also they can slow things down a little bit, right? Like that goal, Connor McDavid just walking into the middle of the ice and, you know, that skill move to get through the defenseman and get
So
into the middle of
gross.
the ice,
So
and then just a
gross.
backdoor pass to Leon Draisaitl, like that's trademark 2020s Edmonton Oilers hockey. Like it's clockwork, and I mean it's just really really it's such a treat. Like this Stanley Cup Final has been such a treat for hockey fans, and I feel like we were talking about this before the show, right? Like, what about the other two teams in the Final Four in the Stanley Cup Final? Like, would it be as high level energy type
I
stuff?
don't think
You
so.
know,
I think
I
Carolina
don't
would have
think
been
so.
eaten alive based on like just how insane Connor McDavid is. Like I pointed out to you earlier, like, and I say Shane Goss's bears name a lot, not because I want to take a dig at him. He's got some value offensively, but there are times defensively, especially in transition, that I've seen in these playoffs where he just kind of pooped himself in situations. Like, and
Sure.
seeing Connor McDavid like carry the puck with like a tremendous amount of speed against Shane Goss's bear, and seeing how Carolina just would throw pucks at the net,
Yep.
I would worry about how susceptible they would be on the counterattack against Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I think, and Dallas. I mean, I don't know. Like Dallas's team on paper looks pretty good, but they did not look great against the Oilers this year. And I feel like if you don't look great against the Oilers, you're not going to look great against the Panthers. And I mean, I don't know. Dallas. I feel like you mentioned it well as well before the show. It's
Yeah,
like when your defense group, your two very prominent names on the defense group is Ilya Labushin and Tony Cece, outside of guys like Heiskanen and Lindell.
and also
Like
Leon
that is a bit of a
Bichelle,
weak
who I
point.
know you've also highlighted a bit in the past as
Right.
well.
Yeah. I mean, Bichelle has his thing, right? Like
Yeah,
he has his thing, except for challenging Corey Perry to a fight and then turtling on the ground when you're 6'7". That might be a little bit of questionable behavior, but at the end of the day, it's been an amazing series. I mean, I'm looking at Sport Contract here, exclusive data provider of Scouching.ca, and this game was also like this series is just a bloodbath. Like, there's not really that much
and a ton of
separating both of
swings
these
too.
teams.
Like
Yeah, and things are swinging all over but that's kind of how this sport is. Like, that's what I think when this sport is at its best.
yeah,
Is like when there's lots of momentum swings and things like teams are trying things and like it just keeps moving and moving and moving. Like, yeah, and this went to double overtime, which is just crazy. Like the shots were 54-50, but in terms of missed and blocked shots, it was pretty close between the two. Face-offs were pretty close between the two. Like if you look at the shot map, the expected goals and everything were pretty close. I'd say Edmonton had a bit of an advantage in game 2, but I'd say Florida had the advantage in game 1. They're going back to Florida. Man, and I don't think Edmonton is playing like a team that's going to go to Florida and lose 2 games.
No,
I don't think Florida is playing like a
this
team
series
that's
is
going to
going
go
to
back
7
and
games.
I
It's
would
just
be
got to.
I think it's going to go to 7 games. Like all of these games you watch, and I honestly watch them and I'm going, both of these teams deserve to win either of these games. Obviously, if you go to overtime, that's kind of the case, but
Yeah,
I just look at it and I go, there is very little separating these two teams, and they play very complementary styles of play, which it's kind of a big thing why I kind of go like there's multiple ways to win a hockey game, right? Like sometimes it just comes down to like one strategy versus another and one has to win. And I think both teams are pretty well constructed to like play their brand and that's why they're here. Um
yeah.
and so for me, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to find like some sort of separation between these two
I
teams or
think
something that like might be where you could look at and go, well, this guy has the advantage. This team has the advantage over this guy, this guy, this guy. But like, I mean, outside of the fact that Connor McDavid had 3 assists and has just looked
he's a
outstanding, like on
demon.
a mission from God, um, I don't really know what else you can point to and go, this is going to be the story of the rest of the series. I think that it's like a thing where it's almost like there's no analysis really to be had. It's just two really, really good teams with a lot of good players performing at their best up and down the lineup, and someone's going to win. I don't know. It's really
Yep.
crazy.
I think with Florida, they have a better system for like my money. It's more stylistically in line with what I would want to do. But I think Edmonton's talent is a little bit higher. And I think that's what brings them to such an equal playing field, really.
Right. Right. And yeah, I think you're right. I think it's like yeah, I mean, I guess you could point to the fact that like you look at the Oilers and who's actually putting points on the board, and yeah, Corey Perry saved them at the end of that game there,
But he's done
um,
that a lot.
and
It's
he's done
like,
that a lot. He has done that a lot. But like if let's say Florida somehow manages to have a game where they really shut down that McDavid, Bouchard, Draisaitl trio, and Florida, like the thing about a guy like Brad Marchand or Sam Bennett or like Evan Rodriguez or something is like these are guys that if you give them a little bit of space and you kind of forget about them a little bit, like Seth Jones has been really good. Um,
yeah,
if you can kind of give those guys a little bit of room, like there might be more down the lineup that I think is a bigger threat, like on a minute by minute basis. But it's also a tall order based on how those 3 guys on the Oilers are playing to shut them down. Like it is tough. And I mean, like the other thing too, and you're the Leaf guy, right?
yes.
If people are saying that Toronto can't win with the so-called core 4 doing what they're doing, I mean, Edmonton, they've got a good team, but when you look at actually who's producing and putting points on the board and really driving those really good sort of moments, it's a handful of guys.
Yeah.
And they are some of the best in the world, and they're paid to be some of the best in the world. And this is what I think people are looking for when they're looking at a team like Toronto, where when Connor McDavid goes over the boards, stuff will happen that is beneficial.
Yep.
And for a team like Toronto, if you're going to have that on the roster, it's just other than that, it's not an option. It's just not an option. So that's a big thing that I think separates a team like Edmonton from a team like Toronto. So yeah, it's been a great series. I've been having so much fun watching this. I
Mhm.
can't wait for game 3. It's going to be great. I agree though. I think this is going to 7. You said you thought the Oilers were no, the Panthers, right? You're
Honestly,
taking
I've been flip flopping because I have
yeah.
no idea. But one thing I just took a look at this just because I wanted to see what the hits were for Florida in this game. Do you have do you have a guess on how many hits the Florida Panthers threw in game 2?
In game 2,
Yeah. And
60.
right on the dot. Actually, you hit it right on.
Seriously?
Yeah, 60.
Oh, cool. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I might be cheating because I'm looking right at a game sheet here on Sport Contract, but I'm not. I didn't know that. But okay, 60, right on.
Yeah, and Edmonton had 39. But why I bring this up is because Florida's strategy is attrition, and they're gonna hit you a lot in order to wear you down. It's what happened in the series against the Leafs. Leafs came out really hot, and were up 2-0 in the series, and almost went up 3. But the Florida Panthers wore them down, and
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what's going to happen in terms of as the series goes on. Does Edmonton lose a bit of the pace in
Juice.
their game just
Yeah.
because of how intense the Florida Panthers are?
Right. And like the other thing too, and I'm looking at it right now, like Stuart Skinner, admittedly, like it recently has been significantly better than he was earlier in the playoffs. But like, you know, if he's going to be facing 30, 40 shots a game, if you had to pick a goaltender to start your team with, is it Bobrovsky or Skinner? Right? Like I think most people
Bob.
would select Bobrovsky. So if Bobrovsky has like all at this point with a 1-1 series, like it's a best of 5 now.
Mhm.
So all it takes is like a couple of absolutely dominant games from Bobrovsky in Florida, and you're down 3-1 in the series, right? Like, I mean, obviously things could change and that's whatever, but in terms of just how the things might shake out from here, like it might be a situation where it's like Edmonton might just have chance after chance after chance after chance, and a couple of things go the other way and Florida wins 2-1, right?
Yeah.
That I think is something that could happen, or 3-1 or something, right? Like, not saying Stu Skinner's gonna be bad all of a sudden, but like if I had to put my money on someone who's gonna steal a game at this point in the season, it might, especially away, it might be Bobrovsky.
Yeah. I
And
don't want to pick a winner. Can I just enjoy the finals, please?
well,
Like,
that's yes.
can I just
It,
not have to do this? I picked the right
it's
team last year. I've been pretty horrible this year with picking. Can we just
yeah.
erase this year and let me enjoy the rest of it, please?
It's a
Please
bad.
forgive me.
It's a bad. Yeah, it's a bad trend. But yeah, I mean, it's also bad content. To be like, I don't know, but I like it. It's like everybody loves the wishy washy stuff. But I mean, I don't know.
Generally, I try not to be, but this
Well,
time
yes,
it
of
just
course.
like
Well, I think it's a
I already
testament to
look
how
like an
good it
idiot
is.
this year. Okay.
Well, yeah, but it's also like it's a testament to like how good these guys are,
Yeah.
like how amazing this whole playoffs has been, right? Like the quality of the NHL certainly has never been higher. Like there's just no doubt about
Yeah.
it. And seeing how the game has changed, especially for like from my perspective as a 34-year-old man turning 35. Oh my god, I turned 35 in a month. Anyway,
Big
uh
sad.
yeah, oh boy. My shoulder's feeling a little better though, so that's good.
That's
The
great.
shoulder's on the mend. Yeah, that's good. It's only taken like 3 months, but we're getting there. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty wild. Like watching the NHL change even since the like right before the pandemic, right? Like the league got, I think, faster, and definitely like it's such an interesting sort of pendulum effect, right? Where there was an era of like really good skill, being a big thing, and the bigger players weren't necessarily up to speed. And it was kind of this mishmash of, skill and physicality. But now it's like this, yeah, skill is great to have, but like what you're really looking for is quick thinking, fast, physical players,
You're
right?
looking
Like what
for pace.
Right, but like you do need a level of physicality
Yeah.
in the modern NHL, right? Like not that you never didn't need that in hockey, but in terms of like a focus on like beating another NHL team, you do need to go out there and hammer guys. Like you need to wear them down physically and create opportunities. Now, obviously, there's gonna be an adaptation to that. Obviously, there's gonna be some level of way to get through that kind of thing, but it is a difficult combination to get through guys that are big and fast and only need to touch the puck for half a second
Mhm.
and find out where their line mates are with a good structured coached team. And at the end of the day, yeah, you can figure something out from there. It's pretty amazing. And this playoff is awesome. Like it seems like we're finally at the point where it's like maybe last year you could say the same thing, but like I feel like the pandemic did kind of mess things up a little bit, and like the vibe, or the what's the word I'm trying to think of, like the like the stability, I guess. Like the
Okay.
stability is kind of back in a way where, now you have a situation where it's like, yeah, life is basically back to normal, and these guys are back
The
into a
cap's
normal
going up.
routine. The cap's going up. Like it's kind of finally getting back to this like stability, and I love it. Like it's been great this
Yeah.
playoff. So I can't wait. Um
I
so yeah, I
I did
mean,
want to
yeah.
mention about this game
Yep.
because we have to mention this player. It's just an obligation at this point. Evan Bouchard. Oh man, what a simultaneously excellent and horrible game he played, because that guy will turn around and do something incredible offensively. Like he'll get through a bunch of pressure, take a massive slap shot, put it in the back of the net, or do something really just insanely skilled and like shows off a tremendous amount of talent to do it. And then the next shift or a couple shifts later, oh, Brad Marchand's beat me. Let's just stop skating. Right? Sometimes, man, it is incredible to watch Evan Bouchard play hockey because holy crap, and I know I've said it 80 billion times, but there is not a player who just embodies bipolarism more than him in terms of how he plays. Like he's so good and so bad, and it is just a pleasure to watch.
I mean, I think the thing is as well, like Bouchard is such a fascinating example. Like obviously we've taken shots, over the year at a guy like Bouchard when things don't go so well. But I mean, you have to respect what he brings to the game, right? Like, and that's the thing. When I'm doing the stuff that I'm doing, watching these guys, it's like it's why I focus on what they do when they're at their best more than anything. Because I mean, obviously, I think if you take Evan Bouchard away from guys like McDavid and Draisaitl or whatever, and put him on a team that's say barely making the playoffs or something, the attitude might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But you still can't argue with what he brings to the game. You can't argue with the skill and the shot and so much. And you kind of go, a lot of this sport is really accurately and honestly understanding what a player brings and where they are kind of maybe a little bit detrimental,
And fitting them
and what
into
can
your
you
own
live
system, right?
right,
Like I
and
think
what can
he's a
you live
perfect
with,
fit
what do
for
you
them.
tolerate. Yeah, yeah. And they've made it work around him, right? Like, I mean, obviously, you live by the Bouchard, you die by the Bouchard. But when you live by the Bouchard, living is great. He's the Bitcoin of the NHL, where it's like
Bitcoin's pretty
some
stable though
days,
sometimes. I find. Is it not? Like especially consider like comparing it to other crypto coins.
well, sure, but at least it's still there. Like
Fair enough, fair enough.
Bouchard is not the Dogecoin of the NHL. That might be more I don't know. Um Sergei Samsonov. That's a throwback to 1996. But anyway, yeah. So I think it's very interesting watching this series. It's been a really 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 great time, and obviously like the moments and the stories that they've created like out of this. Corey Perry's heroics, 2 overtime games so far. I mean, all of Canada seems to be watching the Oilers right now. I don't know how it is in the States with the Panthers, but it's pretty serious. Like it's a good one. And I mean, relative to last year's series, that one, I think there was also a fantastic story as well, where Edmonton was down 3-0 and clawed their way back. And, game 7 didn't go their way. But this is just a different story altogether, literally. Like
Yeah.
there are two teams just going at it. There's no like, oh my God, the Oilers didn't show up, or oh my God, the Panthers didn't show up. Oh my God, what's happening? It's just they're trading blows, and at the end of the day, I love it. It's so good. I don't know. Do you have anything else before we
Yeah.
move on?
I
But
do
yeah,
think for teams that are looking to maybe get some of the UFAs or even like put an offer sheet in, like thinking about an offer sheet on Evan Bouchard, I think honestly, that and mainly the two players I'm talking about most are Sam Bennett and Evan Bouchard.
yeah,
Feel like if any team tries to go bananas and pay a really high price to get those players, that they're just not going to be the same level of player that they are within these current systems
mm,
they're playing in, because it's so much of it
yeah,
is tailor made for what they do. Like I mentioned earlier about Nate Schmidt fitting really well with the Florida Panthers because he is a more aggressive offensive defenseman and it didn't really work all that well in Winnipeg and Vancouver. I think you get a similar thing with like a Sam Bennett in a different way, where like the physicality and his line mates help him out quite a bit, and the pace that the Florida Panthers play at really elevates Sam Bennett's game and makes him more important within their system. I don't know
Yeah.
if he like goes to another team that they're going to be able to recapture this current Sam Bennett, because think about who he was in Calgary. He was
Yeah.
not good, or not good enough at the
It
very
wasn't
least.
this. It wasn't this.
So I
But like,
worry about any team that looks at performances in the Stanley Cup Finals like without
well,
taking
yes.
into consideration the teams that they are around. Because I feel like, and having watched the Leafs for a long time, they like to bring in guys who were on championship teams, but it's like, what's the context behind it? You got to think about what opportunities they were given and what position they were given and how much they were relied on. Like bringing
Yeah.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he was really good in the playoffs for the most part, but it's just like in Florida, he was way better because he got to be more aggressive and do his thing a bit more, as opposed to the Leafs where he just kind of shoots the puck a lot in the regular season.
Well, and wasn't he more of like a depth guy in Florida anyway?
He was on their third
Like
pair, and he's
yeah,
a
he
second
wasn't
pair
really
guy for the Leafs
yeah,
this year.
right. So that's automatically like a bigger role
Yeah,
by quite a margin.
quite a
So
margin, yeah.
yeah, and I agree with you. Like this is why I stress so much like in all of these shows and everything. Like the work that I do is so much focused around like how I personally see the game and would build a team. Like it's so built around like I'm a huge believer, and I know I'm not the only one. Like I'm a huge believer in organizational structure and
Yeah,
like organizational synergy. I hate that I just use the word synergy, but it is literally a good thing to
it's a
have.
better
Where
word than chatter, that's for sure.
yes, but like from the coach to the players to the manager to the general man to the ownership, everybody has to be on the same page. The scouting staff, what are we looking to be when we are playing in the NHL? What are we looking to be? Not we don't have physical players, so we need more physical players. We
Yeah,
don't have skill, we need more skill. You have to understand like this is what we're doing. This is what we want as an organization, and we are going to find players that fit that mold. Like it was very, I said this before, but when I was in Columbus, it was very interesting watching the panel there of people who worked in the analytics world in the NHL, and they were saying like honestly the biggest thing that I think has changed is that it's less of a focus on like who's the best player in the league. Like if it's like if we're going to go out and make a trade, who's a good player that we can bring in? Like that's not, that's why people when they look at trades and they seem lopsided at first and you're like what is this team even doing?
hmm
It's because they identify a player on their team who is not necessarily fitting what they want to bring to the table, so they go out and get a player who they have information that shows okay, this guy will help us with this area of the game and without being too detrimental in the areas that we're not already like we're going to find something that works for what we're trying to accomplish, and we know what we're trying to accomplish. Like that's the ultimate test in my opinion of a good sports organization, of like you're organized, you are it's not that you think there's this like ubiquitous pattern that you have to follow. It's just that you have to have something that works in terms of like strategy, but also you have to have players who fit that strategy, and you have to build around that strategy, and like a good coach has to understand that strategy and be able to structure things around the players that you bring in. But if you have these like conflicting opinions of like, well, I see where you're coming from, but maybe we're going to fail because it lacks this or whatever, like this is really dumb. Okay, I'm not gonna, I know people might not like this too much, but I have been using Google Gemini a lot and really going back and forth with it about sports strategy and analyzing hockey teams and how they win and all that stuff. And it actually turned into a sport. I basically was like, if it's the summertime and I have nothing really to do, what's a sport I could get into to watching like the junior levels or the lower levels just to see what the future of those sports look like and what's the most similar to hockey? And the one that it said was basketball. And at first I was kind of like, well, that's a little strange. And so but I read the very detailed answer it gave, and it actually makes a lot of sense, where it's like basketball is a sport where you're passing an item from one player to the next. There's five people on the court as well as hockey, and you're trying to sort of penetrate the middle and attack a certain area of the court. The only difference is if you shoot from the perimeter, you get more points than in hockey. So that's a thing that adds some context. But the thing that I was really interested in, I asked it like in the last 5 years, strategically, what's changed in basketball that, you know, is unique and sort of new, that sort of is fueled by this sort of analytics type approach that
A three
basketball seems
pointer?
to
Is
go
that what it's
towards.
gonna say?
No, it did, but it also said that a big thing that they're really focused on is like pick and rolls and defense,
Okay.
like how to prevent the ball from getting to the wrong player on the opposing team in the 3-point area, right? Like and it went through like all the
So,
different,
like,
because I
changing
don't
out the
know.
matchups, right? Like,
Yes,
okay.
exactly, like
Yeah, yeah.
switching. And so I don't know anything about basketball strategy, to be clear, right? Like I don't know nothing. I read Sprawl Ball once and I loved it, but like in terms of knowing things about basketball, I'm a zero. But it was really intriguing reading about the different types of defensive coverages and the different types of strategies, and like when to deploy certain things and when to do this and when to use this strategy and all that. And I just sort of sat there and I went like, this is what you need to be good at any sport, really. Like you have to be able to recognize what is right for the situation and what you want to accomplish, right? And like, and so it kind of feeds into this whole thing of like, there isn't one way, right? Like there isn't a magic formula of like, this is what we're trying to accomplish, right? It's, you have to have direction. Like you have to have a goal that is actually strategically productive. Like that's why I get so tilted when I see people go, we want to be tough to play against. Like we want to
What
be
does
tougher
that
to play against.
mean?
Well, it's like, what will you accomplish by doing that, right? Like in the course of an actual game, what are you going to accomplish doing that? And then what, right? Like, and what does that mean? Yeah. So it's
So many
pretty weird.
lazy generalizations in this sport about just everything. It's so frustrating. Every time the Leafs lose, there's some stupid headline about what they need to do, and it's always this dumb backwards line of thought I find. Thank you, Nick
Right.
Kiprios, you bastard.
But yeah, it's very interesting to watch this and see it happen. Um and yeah, I mean, this is why I do what I do, because I love the strategy of the sport. I love the sort of tactics, and yeah,
I do find that
it's
interesting
fun.
that it picked basketball because I think
Yes.
it's a wildly different game. Just because, like, the superstar players play the majority of the game, which is not the truth in hockey. Like, they're going to
Yep.
play 80% of the game. There's a way, scoring's way up, and there's no goaltender to, like, stop it. So there's a
Yep.
much bigger sample to pull from, which is why generally basketball, the better team wins way more often than they don't, just because of how
Right.
little randomness is in, like, they get a big enough sample is essentially what I'm trying to say. Like having all these attempts, like all these shooting attempts, where in hockey it's so much harder to score and there's more randomness to it
Yeah.
because of the goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, there's people saying in the comments that lacrosse is also similar, and that's the
Yes,
other one it gave. It said basketball and lacrosse were the two
lacrosse
that
makes the
seemed
most
most
sense to
similar,
me.
and I would agree that lacrosse makes the most sense. But I get I saw where it was coming from with
Yeah,
regards to basketball, because it's like it's about like structure and moving, like you moving the if you can move the puck, it's a lot better. It's
there's
like
also a
in
shot
hockey,
clock too, right? Like, and possession is force.
right?
Like
Well, that's,
you have to,
yes, you have to do stuff.
and it's also
Um,
yeah, possession's not discrete in hockey, right? Like
no, it is not.
where it
Yeah.
is in basketball, it's very clear when the other team has the ball.
Right. It's about, but like in terms of like misdirection
Yeah, yeah.
and all of the structural stuff, that's kind of what the point was.
Okay,
Like,
fair
and
enough.
I feel like I think if you also like the structure of how the NBA is built financially and the way players are played and all of that stuff, like, you know, the NHL is just also built in a different way, right? Like it's I don't know, it's obviously it's I was more interested in the strategy of these things,
No,
but
that's fair.
I would agree. Like, I mean, it doesn't mean that like I'm immediately going to go off and watch NCAA basketball and do whatever, because I agree. Like, I think hockey and lacrosse share the most actual similarities, but with regards to, yeah, anyway, it was just an interesting little side study, I suppose.
Yeah,
Anyway, where do we go from here? So I mean, I guess we got some questions about some recent rankings that have dropped and
sure.
everything. Um I mean, okay, so at the end of the day, what do we got here? I mean, the hockey news just dropped today. McKean's came out. Shout out McKean's hockey, good people, former employers. And what else do we have? Oh yeah, Elite Prospects draft guide dropped, all 1,800 pages of it.
Did you read all
Um,
1,800 pages?
I
And
read it cover to cover, baby. Every
okay,
single
perfect,
every
perfect.
single word. Yeah, every single word. I read it.
What do you think
Um,
about Dylan Griffing's takes? He's such an idiot, right? No, I love
yeah,
Dylan.
terrible,
Dylan,
terrible idiot.
Dylan's the best.
Terrible idiot. And I'm going to pause because we got the comment about the super chat there. Yes, thank you so
Yes,
much for that. Since it was framed as a question, I was going to do it first in the
go
question
for it.
period, but
Well, go
I'm
ahead
gonna
and do
just
it
go
now.
for it. Yeah, we'll do it now because it's very appreciated. And I mean, okay, I did not see the part where it's 4:12 in the morning where you are, so I apologize. Maybe you want to go to bed. But I mean, I was up at 3 last night watching Andor, and if anyone's watched season 2 of Andor, you know why? Because
Oh,
like, just
boo
you
hoo,
can't you
Will.
can't go to bed. What? I'm
Boo
not saying it's a
hoo.
bad thing. I'm just saying the
You
person
don't have to
said
stay
to me.
up. You don't have to stay up till 11 a.m. and then leave your job and then come back at 11 p.m. the next day. Come on, man.
I didn't hear myself complaining there. I didn't hear myself complaining at all.
No, I just want
Uh,
sympathy. I'm just sympathy
oh, okay.
farming,
Well, you're not
okay?
going to get any from me. Um, Still keeping tabs on Makar and Ivan Fomin and Harry Nancy. You're damn right I am. Any 2024 picks having underrated seasons this year. So first of all, I mean, I've seen Makar Fomin quite a bit. I don't think there's an NHL prospect there, honestly. Just small and I would say not really as mobile and skilled and creative as I think he needs to be. Just as kind of a good offensive defenseman who I'm not sure has the juice to like project to higher levels. I mean, Ivan Fomin, I watch all the time because he brings me great joy. But I mean, again, his odds of success in the NHL are about zero. But I still love him. I still think he's a great player. I feel like you'll see more about him on the channel uh, in the near future. But he is a player who, you know, I mean, in 10 years, 7, 10 years, like, are we looking at a guy who, maybe he grows an inch, gains 30 pounds over the next 7 and 10 years? Is he a guy who's having success in the KHL? I don't think that's impossible. It's just going to take a long time to get there. Like, I think about a guy what's the guy that Buffalo drafted? Like Vasily Glotov, I think his name is. They drafted him in the 7th round, like in 2015, I think, or 14, and he's been over in Russia forever. And he's really popped off in the last few years. He's smaller and thinner, but he's really, really popped off in St. Petersburg the last few years. And he's a player that I think at the end of the day might, if he ever chooses to, come over and could be an interesting one to have in North America. But he was like a 7th round draft pick or something. And so, it is what it is. But I love Fomin and Harry Nancy. I mean, Nancy, I've cooled off on quite a bit over the course of the season, but I don't want to overcorrect on him. Like, he's in my late second, early third round, but that's only really because I feel like the energy and the competitiveness and the forechecking ability is really, really high end. And I mean, I'll say this about him too, right? Like, obviously, I think the big issue is that his skating stride and is not amazing, and he doesn't really generate all that much speed and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a guy who is very interesting. I mean, I think he plays on North Bay, or not North Bay, Owen Sound, sorry. And he did not have many toys to play with when on the ice. Like, for a guy who was on the ice as much as he was when I saw him play, really, really good metrics in terms of offensive zone turnovers and hitting. And he drove 46% of his team's offense, but almost all of it was through shot assists. Like, this is a guy who really needs to learn how to hold on to the puck, find space to shoot from, drive to the net more often, all that stuff, because he never shot the puck. 10% of the shot attempts with him on the ice were him. That is pretty wild. And so 35% of the team's shot attempts were Harry Nancy feeding someone the puck who then shot it. So that number, I'm not sure there's a guy in the draft that I've tracked that's higher than that. And yeah, this is a guy who just drives really, really good playmaking results with really good physical play and really, really good, forechecking ability and all that. So for me with Nancy, it's like, also he's one of the youngest guys in the draft. So, and he's unranked on Central Scouting. So if it's like the 5th or 6th round and he's still there, I'll do it because he's got size, he uses it, and you paste him to a skating coach for the next few years, and maybe some stuff comes along, and he starts applying it in games more and starts gaining some confidence on the puck. And maybe, I mean, not immediately, but if he goes to college and you wait for 5 years or so until he's signable, I guess, and you might get something out of him. And so, yeah, I'm still a huge fan of Nancy, really, as far as I can be, and Fomin as well. Ivan, that is. Yeah. So with regards to 2024 draft picks who are having really good years that I didn't expect. I mean, Cole Hudson is, I wouldn't say underrated, but he was way better this year than I thought he was. Um, who else would be on that list? I mean, Tristan Luneau looked pretty good in the limited games I saw this year of him, and that's a player who. Oh, you went 2024 picks. That's from a while back. 2024. Who were those guys? I did like watching Hunter St. Martin in the Memorial Cup. He was pretty good for Medicine Hat. Kieran Walton was a ton of fun this year, but not a whole lot of people really talking about him outside of me, which is kind of annoying, I guess. Clark Caswell had a great year. I really liked him last year, and I think he's kind of going a little understated. Who else? I don't know. Victor Noringer, for any Preds fans, again, barely eligible for last year's draft, and he went off and had 24 goals and 39 games for the junior team in Frölunda. And I remember liking him, checking him out after the draft last year. And he's had a heck of a season at the junior level. So Victor Noringer, yeah, played a little bit in the SHL too, and he was really, really young. Like, this is a guy who is 3 weeks 3 weeks older than guys like Roger McQueen, Keishon Aitchison, those types of players, not comparing the two, but this is why it's important to keep the date of birth in mind in certain cases, because some of these guys are way closer in age, even though they're a year apart in draft eligibility. So that's always the stuff that I find really, really interesting. He might be the youngest guy. Actually, probably not. I think Luchenko's younger. Viggo Gustafsson, that's the guy who is the youngest in the database here. So that is going to change in a few weeks. But yes, thank you again for your super chat. Now you can go to bed. Yeah. So yeah, there's questions about final rankings here from people. Mine obviously will be coming out in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Yeah, so we'll start, I guess, with the first question we got about it was McKean's, I believe, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so McKean's, again, shout out, former employers. I got quickly, their full.
So we just starting our Q&A now and just getting ahead of the draft rankings, or
yeah, I would say so. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so their first 32 is public. I have their full list. But obviously we're not going to go through all 300 names. Yeah, I mean, in their top 32, like, I don't think there's much that really surprised me. Mine list is not that much different from theirs, to be honest. Obviously, other than obviously like some guys that I just don't have as high that are not unknown, like Smith and Mertka and Aitchison. I have those guys later. Boom. Basically, all the defensemen I have later, except defensemen. Fiddler. Yeah, if you play defense, you suck. That's basically
even though Will plays defense. It's like
yes, yeah.
What is it? Trying to find the good word.
Because I hate myself. That's what it is. It's self-hatred.
Yeah, it's a self-hatred thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, but they are the now second highest outlet on Eric Nilsson, I believe, behind me. So that's nice.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. Yeah.
Couldn't possibly be because of your influence on the.
I have no influence. I have no influence on them. Trust me.
I'm sure they respect you enough, Will. Some
I love those guys. Like me and Joel Henderson went out for pizza in Vegas last year with a couple of those guys, and it was a great time. They're a good barrel of monkeys to hang out with. But anyway,
what a great way to describe.
Just a barrel of monkeys.
Barrel of monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, their top 32 is public, so they've got Schaefer, Misa, Martone, Dane, Wye, Hagens as their top 5. I mean, I really, really like James Hagens, but I kind of see where they're coming from with that. Frondell, Smith, Eklund, Mertka, Martin as their back half of the top 10. again, I see where they're coming from, but I basically have four of those guys kind of like flipped with the next four on their list, which is O'Brien, McQueen, Lakovich, and Potter. Like I've got Lakovich and Potter in the top 10. Um, I just finished my Lakovich video today, actually. Thank a shout out to graphic designer Rayan Tubek for all his hard work, and just finished that off today. So subscribers, you'll be getting two reports today, by the way. We got Lakovich and Brady Martin, so those will be coming out this week for the public, but you'll get them today. Yeah, yeah, I mean Carbonneau 16. I mean, I've heard some crazy stuff about Carbonneau. He might be a guy that goes pretty high as well on draft day. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but it seems like he's a guy who's higher on people's boards than 16. Coots, Boumedienne, Ben Kindle. I love Ben Kindle, but I get it why he would have him around there. I have him a little bit higher, but he's kind of a make it or break it style of player with the way he plays. I mean, it's so funny. Like this year's draft is going to be so much fun because I have no idea really. Like I can't really look at this and go, I wouldn't have I don't wouldn't have Logan Hensler at 25, but like I have him way higher than that. But like I then look at the guys they have ahead of him, and I just kind of go like, yeah, but if you wanted to go Cameron Reed over Logan Hensler, like I kind of see where you're coming from on that, and I wouldn't be that upset about going with that or Ready Murtka or whatever. Like it just depends on where. Um, but it has been very interesting watching how things have shifted in the last few weeks, since the U18s and now after the combine and all that stuff. Like I mean, I don't see it with guys like Murtag and Nesbitt and Is Wozniak and who else like I mean, the interesting one to me is going to be Boumedienne because I just did a game of him the other day, the last game of his that I'm going to do this season, and it was the it was the Frozen Four final game, like the NCAA championship, and he was okay, but it's like he's a 2007 in the NCAA, but he's kind of terrifying. But is that a bad thing or something you can kind of excuse? Like I don't really know the answer to that honestly, because the historical precedent for guys like that is so small, especially defensemen playing on a team like Boston University. But other than that, I mean, not too much else surprises me, right? Like I get Limatov as a throw in at the end of the first round. They're fringe, by the way, just to say, like their fringe first rounders are Malcolm Spence, Will Moore, Will Horkoff, Cameron Schmidt, Carter Amico. Like all those guys I could see sneaking into the first round. Cole McKinney, like I could see all of those guys sneak into the first round, even if some of those guys I wouldn't do it. I could totally see it. Like with McKean's, I don't really see that much of an issue. And I mean, not that there's ever any issue with how anyone does anything, but I can kind of see where they're coming from with a lot of this. I feel like it'll line up relatively closely to the actual NHL draft based on what's coming out and what's floating around out there. Um, so it's going to be good. It's going to be a good time. In terms of EP, again, I mean, we made a joke about the length of their player guide earlier, or of their draft guide. But I mean,
that you read in its entirety.
yes,
by the
yes,
way.
sorry, yes, I must specify again. All 1,800 pages I read.
And Will disagreed with all 1,800 pages.
Yeah, it's.
Actually.
I mean, yeah. If you've got Matthew Schaefer at one, I don't know what you're doing. You're just out of your. You're just out of your gourd.
He
No, I mean,
says
look,
with
if you.
Matthew Schaefer at number one. So
Yes.
please, people, it is a joke.
Yes. If you want really good resources on the draft, I mean the EP draft guide in all seriousness is the one to get. Like it's worth the money, just the subscription to download it. And it's like obviously like the light version that I have in front of me is 460 pages. So obviously there's lots of information in this, and they obviously just you can if you ever thought that those people don't do any work and they're just doing stuff for takes or something, they are not. You will look very silly because these guys are serious, and there's a lot of work in here. So at the end of the day, I look at their list, and I think the thing with them too is I see where they're coming from a lot of the time, almost all the time, with sort of like the guys that they like more than the market. I'm also sort of on the same page, but maybe not as much. And the opposite is also true. Like they might be down on some guys that are also probably a little overvalued, but I might be a little bit more down on them. And then there are some guys that I just love watching that, whatever. They if they don't like them, they don't like them. That's fine. It happens. But in general, I mean, yeah, like Yeah, I mean they've
What?
like
Okay,
they're
okay. What's the thing you disagree with the most on their list? Because that's always the thing that matter. I think is the most interesting to look at.
well, the thing that I think I'm most curious about is Jackson Smith. Like they've got
Okay.
Jackson Smith at 6. And I had him in the top 10 pretty much all year. And then just the last 3 months of watching him, like it's it was funny. I was talking to Joel Henderson about this because he's seen Jackson Smith since he was 15, maybe younger.
Okay.
And his whole thing with Jackson Smith is like, you're probably gonna really like the tools. You're probably really, really gonna like the capability with the guy, but you're gonna be waiting around for him to put it all together. You know, he's got so much talent and everything, and you're just gonna want more, and you're never gonna get it. And I mean, I got to the point this season where he, I think, is right. Like, I love Jackson Smith as a player. Like, if he goes at 6, I totally see why. I get it. In terms of raw tools, I don't think there's a better defenseman in this draft not named Matthew Schaefer. But I honestly think the last few games I saw of him were worse than the early season stuff I saw out of him. I feel like he's got a ways to go to like hit the upside that he has, and the floor is pretty low. Like I think Joel, I could be wrong, so I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm pretty sure he said that Jackson Smith kind of reminds him a little bit of like a Jack Johnson type, where Jack Johnson has had a long NHL career, but the results have been very mixed. But you can't deny that Jack Johnson had a lot of talent, and that's why he's stuck around in the NHL forever. And Smith, like the results in the games that I've done of him were not very good in a lot of areas. And I was willing to excuse it for a long time, but I just feel like that's a lot of risk to take because I've seen so much of him this year, and I love him. Like I love the joke was with me and Joel all year when we would talk about him, because we talked about him a lot because he's so interesting. Was we would finish the conversation and I would just go, yeah, but I like him. you know, it's like I just like him. I think he's kind of cool, And he's like, hey, you're right. Like he is, but you gotta think about, you know, beyond what the capabilities are and like what he's actually doing. Other than that, I mean, they've got Frondell at 13, which is a bit of a hot take. I get it, honestly. Like, I have Frondell in my third tier, which is from 7 until 22, I think, or 23. He's at the top of that tier, but I do think that there's an argument that Frondell is a little bit overrated in a way. Like, I think he's going to play. I'd be very, 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 very surprised if he didn't play in the NHL. But I think that there are limitations in his game that might restrict him to being a really good complementary forward, right? Like, and is that what you want to draft in the top 10? I mean, in my books, I think he's really, really good at that. And you need guys like Frondell, but I don't see that much reason to look at that and go, yeah, but you know, can what's more valuable? A guy you definitely can see playing, say, third line center, or a guy with the offensive skill to just be a pure offensive guy like a Justin Carbonneau? Would you rather have those guys and deal with the maybe lack of upside with Martin, but the solidity of his game, or the issues that Carbonneau has off the puck? Do you want to live with those kinds of things and just have the offense? Or do you want to go with Frondell, right? And I mean, I could see the argument of why you might go with those other two as opposed to Frondell. I lean Frondell, but like I get it. Same thing with Jake O'Brien, right? Jake O'Brien is a better skilled center, I think, and he's got, a lot of room to develop and fill out physically. Frondell, I think Frondell has the highest BMI of anyone ranked in the first round, which implies to me that physical development has kind of already happened with him. But again, I still feel like at the end of the day, all of these guys are probably going to end up in a similar range of an NHL lineup. Um, they've got Cameron Reed at 19 as well, which I have him lower than that. But again, if you go off of skating ability and tools, like I definitely understand why. Um, and I mean, they have a lot of guys I think ranked outside the first round who it's like NHL teams will play them, right? Big, some skill there, but just big, rangy dudes who can move around the ice, and they're big and they can be big and move the puck pretty easily. Rombach, Sinichka, who else is in here? Bedkowski is in here somewhere. Yeah, David Bedkowski, Papanekis, Guard, Nesbitt. just guys who go out and get the job done. Wang, and if there's a tie in camp and someone needs to make the team, guys like that might get the benefit of the doubt. So fair
Hmm.
enough. But beyond that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not a tremendous amount other than like I can look at this and go, yeah, but like you've got a guy like Sverchek at 120, which I I mean, I really like him, but whatever. I accept that there's just players that I'm on an island about. They threw my Croatian boy, Bruno Ijan, on here, and
Ooh, there you go.
that's always fun. Bruno Ijan, a player that I did not think would be doing what he's doing in the USHL so far this year, but yeah. And like Nikita Churin is a nice throw in at the end as well. That's been a guy that's been kind of in the back of my mind all year. Gustav Hillstrom they threw in at the end, but I mean the offensive upside is pretty limited, but I think he's got really great two-way sort of transition upside. Kieran Durbin actually is one that I wanted to note because I saw him here. He's one that I kind of like wrote off a little bit once he played in Kingston for a little bit because I just didn't see much there. But I've gone back and taken another look now that I've seen some people give him some more attention. And there's more to him than I thought. I didn't realize that he was 6'2". I think I just watched tape of him and never really took in the fact that he's pretty thin and there might be some uncertainty in his profile, but I think the raw ability and the tools and the skill level for a guy that they have in the hundreds, like I would take a bet on that. Like that's pretty neat. Same thing maybe with a guy like Max Westergaard. Um, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting stuff. It always makes me think, But at the end of the day, when that happens, it's like it makes me think, and then I go back
But Will
and
doesn't like to think, so then he just sticks with what he's got,
yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah. I think for a second and then I go, yeah, that's enough. I'm going to go to bed. And then I sleep for 12 hours.
That's not
But
true.
no, it's not. But yeah, I mean, it makes you think and it makes you sort of rethink some things. And whenever I go and read these, like, this is why I like it so much. Like, you go and read it and you're like, yeah, everything they're writing about the player and how they play, I definitely see that it's an accurate read on sort of what's going on here a lot of the time. Like in general, you know, it's just a matter of like how I weigh certain parts of a game and other
Hmm.
areas of a game and how I think about how the NHL is and what I would do in the NHL. That I think is where there's a difference. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's very, very good information. So I highly recommend everyone subscribing or
Yeah, they just
whatever
have a
and
different
checking it out.
style to what they like as opposed to what you like. But it's not that their work isn't as good, what you're saying, just because
Right.
you have a difference of opinion.
And like I think when we diverge from the consensus, so to speak, I think we would agree on why, right? I think that's perfectly understand. I think we would generally, I
We
would say,
being
agree on
you
why.
and
Like
EP.
the two factions,
Yeah.
so to speak, we would agree on why, right? And I think if we, let's say, talked about a Ben Kindle, who I have ranked in a similar range but a little bit higher, like I think we both would understand that there are downsides and there are issues in his game that are going to be difficult to sort of deal with. But in my books, I like to bet on like the what if it works thing, and I'm like, if it works, he's going to be outstanding. And if you're a little more skeptical, I I get it, right? They are really optimistic about a Roger McQueen and good, cool, right? Like great. I am not as optimistic, and I think I have legitimate reasons for that. But I get it that if you think if he's going to be 100% healthy and he was constantly undershooting what he's capable of, and there's more to his game than what we saw when he was so called healthy this season and whatever, then yeah, if you take him top five, you could end up with a great player. So it's like, I get it. It's just, it's about risk tolerance and like what you value and all those things. It's just all a little different. And that's where I think this stuff gets really, really interesting. I don't like when it's like you can kind of tell that there are people out there who just sort of follow the pack and have these sort of empty platitudes or cliches or vagueness about these players, and they sort of just pop their heads up and say, "Hey, here's what I think," and then disappear for 3 months. It's like you can at least sort of see what
Where they're coming
they're up
from.
to and where they're coming from. And
Yeah.
like adding the game reports to the player pages, I think is a really smart move for people like me, just to be able to see, okay, like, what they're thinking as time goes by and how often they've really reported and seen the players. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's good stuff. It's all good to read. I've really, really always just enjoyed what they do. Um, So yeah, I don't think we got asked about anyone else specifically. We got McQueen. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think that's all. And I haven't put the hockey news as one in the database yet, so we can't go over that one because I don't know it, even though it's right in front of me. I haven't read it. But I will say, in general, with all the rankings that I do track before we get into the questions, it does look like there are some tiers that are forming here for the draft that look pretty clear, right? Like the overall weighted average for me is Schaefer, Misa, Hagens, Martone, Frondell, Desnoyers, Eklund. And it's kind of like Schaefer, Misa, and then the rest of those guys kind of mashed together. Then you've got McQueen, O'Brien, Mertka, Martin, Smith, and Bear. And then beyond that, there's a bit of a drop. Like of all the rankings I track, the confidence interval for Carter Bear extends to about the average of Justin Carbonneau. So there's a chance that guys like Carbonneau, Aitchison, Hensler, Coots, Lakovich, Spence are valued higher than the average and higher than that sort of higher tier of guys like Martin and Smith and Bear and whatever. But then past guys like Fiddler and Nesbitt and Yastreen and Zonin, it's just a madhouse. Like I don't even know what's going to happen. It's just all over the place. Like you've got
That's
Ryabkin
the
in
most
there.
fun, honestly.
Yeah, I mean this year I think the most fun happens after one. Like people, I mean
You
Corey
really,
Proman wrote it.
you really think
Yeah,
Misa's not going
I don't.
two?
I don't think it's a lock. I don't think it's a lock. Number
Oh
one, you look at
boy.
who Bill Guerin. You look at who Bill Guerin is drafted, or not Bill Guerin. Mike Greer, the other G last name. Mike. You look at who Mike Greer has drafted, and you look at the way the NHL seems to be going. I don't think it's a sealed deal. I do there Corey Proman put together a great article. It's my favorite thing of the year, one of my favorite things of the year, which was essentially like he's talked to a lot of executives and scouts and gets their opinion on various things based on the questions that he asks.
Mhm.
And one of the ones like the some people do really like Michael Misa, of course, but some people seem like Misa might not be the one. Someone here said, quote, that Misa could be close to the best player in the draft, but he's extremely talented, but he's inconsistent and has some bad habits. The top forward is somewhere between Misa and Desnoyers, but he said then you have to take Misa. So it's probably going to be Misa. But an executive said that Schaefer's a clear number one. That it would be a group of Misa, Desnoyers, Frondell, and Martin. So like I look at this and I can see how someone might look at that and go, maybe there's I don't know. Maybe there's a chance, right? And all it takes is San Jose to like someone else more. So we'll see what happens, especially if, say, San Jose really wants like a Brady Martin. And now there's lots of reports out there that Brady Martin seems to be really loved by Utah, and that's fourth overall. You don't want to gamble that Brady Martin's going to be there and you can maybe trade for another pick later in the first round and snag him or something. I don't know. It's weird things happen all the time. But yeah, interesting stuff. And I mean, I can't wait. It's going to be a riot. It's going to be a hoot.
Of course it is. When is it not?
It always is. Yeah, exactly. It is. It always is. All right, let's do the actual questions for the day.
Sure. Let's get
Better
into it.
better question. Better question. Better skater. Anton Frondell or Porter Martone? I mean, in terms of actual mechanics, probably Martone, but they're pretty much neck and neck, I would say. Like Frondell gets around the ice just fine. Actually, I might lean Frondell, but yeah, I'd say they're about on a similar overall level. I would say. I know it's early, but any thoughts? Oh my God, yeah, I know where this is coming from. Any thoughts on 2026 draft eligible Alexander Karmanov, and does he get drafted? So for anyone who's not familiar, Alexander Karmanov is a 7-foot Moldovan defenseman playing in Wilkes-Barre at the U16 level this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's committed to Penn State University for after next season, and I believe he's drafted by the Fargo Force in the USHL. So we'll see if he makes that team. I mean, I've seen a little bit of him, and I know he just did a video with the guy from TSN or the guy from Bar Down, Corwin. What's his last name?
Callum.
Yes, Corwin McCallum. He just did a video with him, and I mean,
He's now with like I think he works separate of Bar
yeah, it's
Down
his
now.
own. It was his own YouTube channel, and I watched that video, and that kid is big. He is huge. They it was funny. Corwin asked him, he's like, "Hey, like, where do you get your sticks? Like, how do you whatever?" He's like, "Oh, I have to source them directly from Bauer, like a factory, to source them directly, and they're Chara sized." And then he goes, "And I stick an extension in the top." so, so
Jesus.
he's got a Chara length stick, and then he
With an
puts like a four
extension.
because he's 5 inches taller than Chara. Like he's
Oh,
4 inches taller than Zdeno Chara,
that's
right?
crazy.
And he looks enormous. Like compared to Corwin on the ice, it's like a tree. He's like a tree. Like he's an ent from Lord of the Rings. It's insane. And so it'll be like I obviously I've watched him a little bit this year and a little bit last year when there was a bit of noise about him. And I just sort of went, oh my God, like what is this player? Like, what is happening here? And then you watch him over the course of this season and you watched what he's capable of in that video. And obviously, it's not a game scenario and whatever, but the kid can kind of ball. Like he's got he's got some talent. He's got some skill. There's something there where it's like, you know what? I mean,
So move out of the way, Gavin McKenna. You're gonna get squashed, you
exactly.
ant. Is that
Yes. Yep.
is that what we're saying here?
Exactly. At the end of the video, at the end of the video, he's like, because they basically tried to keep all the drills to open ice and everything. And at the end of the game, at the end of the video, he's like, you know what? You can try to beat me down the wing, try to get through me along the boards. Why not? Like, let's see how that goes.
Oh no.
And Corin tries to go along the boards and drive deep on him, and he just pummeled him, like just crushed him.
Oh man.
And it was really funny. And so yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, I will not be a hater. I will not be down on it. If a 7 foot kid can show up in the USHL next year, not look out of place, and drive some good results and go to Penn State, I am aboard for that because that would be great. The other thing I noticed in that video too that I loved about him is that he had good defensive habits in terms of he wasn't obviously it's like he's playing against a public figure who he doesn't want to destroy, but like stick checks first. He uses his reach really, really, really well. He doesn't just think I'm going to stick my hand out and shove this guy away from the puck. It's playing the puck, play the puck, play the puck. So like that's fun. That's good to see. I like it, and we'll see how it goes. I mean,
Does he defend
he's
with his feet more than he defends with, like, because you were saying, than his
yeah.
reach? Like, is that something? Because I know
I
that's something
mean,
that you
he
highly
he uses
value.
it he uses his reach because he's got it, like, it's there. Like, he might be one of those guys where you can kinda get away with it,
Oh, okay.
but we'll see. I mean, again, when you're 7 feet tall and you're 16 years old, like, you're gonna learn how to get more coordinated, and you're gonna learn how to be more comfortable with that frame in the future, but god, man, he is a hoot. He is gonna be very interesting to watch. How much stock do you put into which teams take a prospect to dinner during the combine? Learning that only the Penguins took McQueen to dinner was surprising, for example.
Don't
So,
put any stock into how much meetings you get with that, because Lane Hudson was interviewed by the Leafs twice, and that is Kyle Dubas and Wes Clark at the time. Lane Hudson thought he was going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf, and my, how unhappy I am at the what actually happened in comparison to what could have been.
right.
They'll interview guys a lot. I would just say that there's a chance that any of those players could get drafted to the Penguins, but like there's also stuff we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite thing. The dinner takes, like the dinner, it's like, oh, this guy is going to dinner with this guy. Like, I mean, I do think there is obviously you don't take someone to dinner that you don't want to get to know a little better. Um, and I think teams do really value how a person comes off in that kind of a situation.
Hmm.
But I think Kyle Davidson this week was actually asked about this because they didn't take James Hagens to dinner. And I think they were asked about that. And he's like, some guys we've talked to all season long, some guys we are well aware of, and we don't really, we're going to, and I think he said like during the combine weekend in Buffalo, he's like, if we really wanted to do this, we would do it another time. Like we're going to talk to these guys all day, every day anyway. So like we don't really see much value in doing that kind of thing.
Fair enough.
So some teams just see it differently. I mean, if you ask me, like if I'm running a team, I don't really think about it that much. Like I kind of would go off of like it's like it's like I kind of go off of, if I've done my job, the track record leading into that moment, right? It's like if I talk to the coaches and talk to the parents and talk to the kid and all this stuff during the year, I should have a pretty good gauge of what I'm getting into. And then at the combine, you sort of press their buttons a little bit and really give them a bit of a test. And then from there, it's like you kind of just go from there rather than like, okay, now we have to go out and take you for dinner and do what? I don't know. But I mean, I think it is an indicator that the team is at least interested in that player. But the fact that teams like that are doing that, it doesn't surprise me. But I feel like it's totally, whether you do it or not, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of like preference. Um, in what range of the draft do you expect the vertically challenged skilled forwards like Schmidt, Banach, and Mooney to be drafted, if at all? So those guys will at least two of them will get drafted. Schmidt's going to get drafted. Banach's going to get drafted. Mooney, I have no idea. I mean, Mooney probably should, but I feel like it'll be a flyer type pick, like fifth, sixth, seventh round.
And not necessarily the Philadelphia Flyers. He just means
Yes, yeah. You go walk into Costco, they give you a piece of paper type flyer. But yeah, I mean, with Mooney, I think the big thing is teams are going to look at him and go, you came into the season a little slow, then you got injured, probably came back too early, looked slow. And as you were getting your feet back and as you were getting your game back, you go to the U18s, you look fantastic, and then you get hurt again. Teams are going to look at that and go like, why would we bother? Right? Like they're going to look at that and go, why would we bother drafting you? Because who knows? What if you blow out your knee again at the beginning of the season and you're out for the year, right? You're 5'6", you were behind the ball last year. You're behind the ball again this year. Like it's just not a good pattern. Personally, I think the talent is worth betting on anyway in this draft. And you just kind of go, look, he's
especially at
extraordinarily
some
talented.
point, like he's probably
Yeah,
going to go too late, if not go at all. So
the talent is undeniable. I mean, judging by my mock draft simulator, like for the picks that team scouting, so to speak, will have, he's almost always there with the second pick the second pick you've got, which is in the 90s. And there aren't that many other players, I think, that are as talented and skilled as Mooney that are probably going to be available in that range, but you never know. But he usually is available at the third or fourth pick that you make in that simulator. I would be happy with that kind of a situation. So we'll see. But in terms of the other ones, Schmidt, I'm not going to be surprised if he's a day 2 guy at some point. Banach, I'm almost certain will be a day 2 guy. I think with Schmidt, people are going to look at the holes in his game, which there definitely are, and go, he's going to either be a first line guy that you shelter and you put on the power play and he scores points and you just deal with it, or he's a guy that a coach will never play. And there's going to be no in between. He's so like, for me, you look at a guy like a Daniel Sprong, who kind of has a bit of a reputation around the league as like not the most defensively effective guy, but you're going to get points if you play him, and he's good value for the money, yada, 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 no matter where he goes. Schmidt might be a similar profile, and Sprong was like a late second round pick, but if you look at that draft, I think he's like top 15 or 20 in games played, and like he produces pretty well. So I don't know. So I feel like that kind of a trajectory could be there for Schmidt, but I know there's other factors at play that might change things. Banach, I just think teams are going to look at him and go, he struggled against USHL competition pretty early. He got more comfortable as the year went on, but that's only really because he simplified his game, I think. Like he was really tough under pressure at the beginning of the year, like really struggled. But as the year went on, like the puck touches got quicker, everything got a little bit quicker and the skill level was still there. And I thought he was really good at the U18s, but again, at the end of the day, he's 5'7", and he's kind of physical, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to really move the needle. Whereas a guy like Mooney definitely has enough in the tank to like move the needle. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, of all of them, I like Schmidt the most, but Mooney's not that far behind him, and Banach is not too far behind both of those guys. Gun to the earth. That's a weird place to put a gun. Who ends their career with more points, Michkov or Demidov?
So giant space laser to the earth that will destroy it if you pick wrong.
We're all going to die. We're going to die.
Oh yeah, we're going to die. But
probably
it's going to be your fault.
Yes. Probably Demidov. I think I'm going to put Demidov down. I love Michkov, but the creativity and the skill level with Demidov, if he can just get a bit quicker on his feet and everything, like yeah, lights out. I don't know. They're
I
both probably
agree.
going to end
I
similar.
agree with
They're
you.
both probably going to end up pretty similar though. What are your thoughts on drafting prospects who lack a quote playoff profile for teams who aren't making the playoffs for another 10 years?
Well, what does a playoff profile entail?
I mean, I think that more is like if you are Chicago, not Chicago, maybe they're a bad example, Boston. And it's like you're kind of going into a period where you're not really expecting to be a playoff contender for a while and you're
Mhm.
literally just entering that period. Why would you go out and draft Brady Martin because you think he's going to be good in the playoffs, right? Like I think that's kind of the point.
Okay, okay.
Um I mean, I this is kind of like I think the question itself is a little bit flawed because I feel like what people say as a playoff profile is not like you're not it isn't really what you think it is, right? Like I think people look at a playoff profile in the same way that it's like a guy like Brian Boyle is super valuable to have in the playoffs, right? Like Brian Boyle was a fine player who was pretty good in the playoffs for sure, but like are you going to draft a Brian Boyle fifth overall, right? Who might be your bottom six center who absorbs pressure and doesn't really drive offense that well, but like hits and is big and plays good defensive hockey and yada, yada, yada. I mean, it depends, right? I mean, I think at a certain point in the draft, I mean, I've got guys like Brady Martin and all that, like in the middle of the first round and in the higher end of the top tens, and that's fine. But that this draft class isn't also the most amazing thing in the universe. It's really tricky because I feel like also if you're a team that is in that position where you're starting a rebuild that is not going to make the playoffs for a while, aim high. Like you got to aim for guys that are going to be a core part of your team that you are going to depend on, right? Like if you're drafting and starting a rebuild now and a guy like I don't know. Uh, you're hoping a guy like I don't know. Again, it's just the name that's come up a lot, Brady Martin. If you're hoping Brady Martin is going to be like a first line center on your team at the end of a rebuild, I'm not sure you're going to get that. And if you look at other players that you might say no to, and you think that guy might be a first line center on a team, and they turn out to be that, then that's a problem. Then you've missed out on something. So it's tricky, right? Like this is why I kind of always aim high with picks and go for the stuff that you know you really always want more of in the NHL, and fill in the gaps elsewhere. Did you read Promin's poll of scouts and executives? Yes, I did. We kind of went through it a little bit. I mean, not too much really stood out to me and not too much really surprised me. I think the most illustrative thing I took away from it is like, if you read all of it, it just goes to show that different people think different things and they oftentimes are like in complete conflict with one another, right? Like,
Uh huh.
so someone like one of them is like Kayshawn Aitchison is an apex predator. He's going to knock you out and then knock out the guy who comes looking for a fight. If you want his attributes, he's normally a bottom pair, but he's going to be a better Radko Gudas in your top four. And then you literally scroll down like half a page, and then someone else goes, I mean, I think Kayshawn Aitchison has major questions in terms of hockey sense and his decision making. You love how hard he plays, but he's not that big really, and he's fine, but nothing special. It's like that's two extremely different reads on one player in the same page of writing. Some people are here talking about how Brady Martin might be one of the best in the draft outside of Schaefer. Another guy says people need to slow down because he had a good U18s. He's likable because he hits a lot and has skill, but he's not really that smart and projects as probably a middle six winger in the NHL. Like that's kind of what I take away is you kind of flip through this and it's like depending on what you want to see and how you feel about things, you're going to come away with whatever. You have a chance to come away with a lot of things, different opinions, I should say.
Hmm.
But that's the biggest thing that I come away with, really. I mean, a lot of it I did. There were some individuals here where I'm like, I'm curious about who this is because they are saying things that I agree a lot with. I mean, I didn't do a specific poll of like who said what, but there were definitely a pattern of like some very very interesting players here or interesting people here with some interesting things to say.
Will wants to know all the people who agree with him so he can start bothering them for jobs.
So I can start bothering them for leaking information to me so I can have better content,
And you can bet
get more
on,
clicks.
and you can make
Yeah,
money
so I
by
can bet on the
betting.
market. Yeah,
betting.
yeah, so I can place bets. um that's a joke, by the way. I'm not doing that. I don't gamble. I should mention that. No gambling for me because I suck at it.
Yeah, I
That's
was
also
gonna.
why no the space laser question. Bad one to ask me.
Yeah, it is. Anytime I've gambled though, I'm pretty successful. Like I don't actually like bet on individual games or anything, but like when I put my money up on fantasy, uh, I've come away with quite a lot of money. Let's just say.
Here's another thing about gambling is I don't know if anyone else is aware of this, but there's this like I forget what the channel is called, and I don't want to mention them because sports gambling channels are a cancer. But they were betting on Angel Reese to miss her first shot of the game in WNBA games, and I think they bet no every time and got I forget what they started with, but they ended up with what $250,000 riding on it just from they just kept letting it ride, and I was like, meh, $2 on that. Why not? Let's see how that goes. And then I was like, no, I'm a principled person. No gambling. The only thing I might gamble on is the NHL draft. Maybe, but probably not. Almost never. And I didn't. And she hit the first shot of the game. so, so I would have lost my money on a thing that, but again, if you're chasing something that is highly unlikely to happen that many times in a row, you're probably going to lose at some point. Um, so good thing I didn't lose my $2 because instead I spent it on a New York Times subscription so I can play Wordle. Uh,
Also, gambling, like, man, it's so crazy when you look at all these. Like, think about it from when I was a kid to now, how prevalent and prominent it has become. You see all these, like, every broadcast company now will, like, display odds and be sponsored by some company that is just
mhm.
trying to make you a degenerate gambler and siphon all your money. And they can say, oh, we have all these tools to help you. But it's like, it's all they just want to turn you into a degenerate and take all your money. Like, really. Like, that's
I
what
mean,
they're
that's the
trying to do.
business. That's literally
They
what the business
literally
is.
target people, like their highest spenders, and give them more incentive to spend more money.
If it was a good way to make money, they wouldn't be successful businesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
it is it is the perfect encapsulation of capitalism gone wrong in a way, where it's like you see how the business operates. They literally are there to take your money and give you nothing in return. Like you lose your money for nothing outside of the chance that you win. But
They'll give you stuff, but you'll have had to spend an exorbitant amount of money in order to get it. Like, they'll give, like, I've
and be
seen,
lucky.
yeah, but not even be lucky. Like, they're just trying to incentivize the biggest losers to play, no, to play
Yes.
more. Like,
Yeah, of course.
I think DraftKings literally sent a giant crown to one of their biggest spenders who was losing a ton of money. There you go, king of the losers. Congratulations. But seriously, and they'll like give out free ticket. They'll give out tickets to sporting events, right? Like, and it's not like this is not going to go away because it
Nope.
makes people care more about the games. The reason I watch as much of the NHL as I do is because I play fantasy hockey and I'm more invested in the result and how it affects my team,
Yeah.
like the fantasy
I
team I'm building together. So this is never going to go away. It's
I
just
mean,
like be careful.
I look forward to being an old man one day, assuming I make it, and seeing all the science that comes out about how damaging all this sports gambling stuff is. I mean, it's already out, but nobody cares. It's like we knew smoking was bad for you in the 50s, and it took like 40 years for people to be like, maybe we should just like be not allowing this kind of thing as much as it's allowed.
Yeah,
Like maybe
news
we should start.
anchors literally used to smoke on
Yeah.
air for advertisements, man. Like,
Dude, I remember when they banned smoking in restaurants in Toronto, and it was like a big news thing. Like it like pissed people off. Like I remember that. I remember when you could smoke on a plane. Like
that's horrible. Cause
crazy.
like
Yeah, craziness.
I
Wait,
had
do I
really
remember that?
I had really bad asthma as a kid, and like I was in the Cuban airport as like a 3-year-old because we had gone to Cuba, and I had a massive asthma attack just because of how much smoke there was. Like how much it was just insane. Like they had to put me on a they had to give me an oxygen mask.
Right. 1994, Canada was the first country to ban smoking on all flights operated by Canadian carriers. So there's that. But they banned smoking on domestic flights in 1989. That's before I was born. Um, yeah, international
Just
1994. So
barely.
a
Just
complete ban.
barely though.
So like if you were flying from Toronto to Kingston, smoke if you got them. But if you're flying Toronto London or London Toronto, nah, that's not allowed. So there's that. But anyway, I don't know. I just can't wait for that era. It's going to be very fun because
You
the
just can't
next
complain
20
about
years.
everything and how you've
Yeah,
fallen behind the
old
times.
people do, man. That's just what old people do. It's, it's inevitable and it'll happen to you.
No, it
Uh,
won't. I will be young forever. I don't lose my mind all the time thinking about how much older I've gotten. Nope, that doesn't
mm,
happen. Does not
nope.
happen. I ain't scared.
Mm, I don't do it.
Please
I
help
forget
me.
how old I am all the time. I don't even remember when my birthday is sometimes.
BS.
Uh,
Every time your birthday comes up on a player or
yeah.
like somebody has your birthday, it's like
Yeah,
he
it's the
shares the
best.
best birthday. So
Yeah,
don't
the
tell me
best
you
birthday.
forget your birthday. You're a
Yeah,
liar.
no, I don't forget my birthday, but I do forget how old I am sometimes. Um, the Penguins had dinner date. Oh no, sorry. How do you see the Islanders drafting given the perceived risk or NHL readiness of Misa and Schaefer? I mean, I feel like it's going to be Schaefer. Everywhere it seems is like even the Corey Proman thing. It's like everybody's like it's Schaefer and then it's Schaefer and then it's Schaefer and then. I mean, I don't know what the Islanders are gonna do, but I mean, I went back and watched what I had on Schaefer. His data is amazing. Um, I don't know. It's hard for me to ignore that you just do it because the injuries that he had, like one was mono, so that sucks, and the other is a broken collarbone. Like you can figure that out. It might take him some time to get back into full go mode, but I do not want to bet against that guy. Misa, I feel like more than anything, I don't think you should think about NHL readiness at all. I don't think anybody in the draft is ready for the NHL ever. Um, but Misa, like, I think you're looking at him legitimately and going, yeah, the physical side of things might be a bit of a tricky thing to work out. And I don't know. I don't think I still think there's a chance that some team might go like San Jose might get a little cold feet and go, we're gonna go somewhere else. Because what if you draft this guy second overall and he just doesn't have the juice to make it work in the NHL? I see that argument. I disagree with it, but I could see where they're coming from. The Pens had dinner dates with McQueen, Aitchison Smith, and Murtka. Are those Clark type prospects to you? No, not at all, actually. So
Oh, this was I thought this question came up earlier. That's
no.
why I brought up the Kyle Dubas reference of like
Oh,
them talking with Lane Hudson a bunch and then not
right.
actually pulling the trigger. So that's what
No,
that was
too different.
intended for.
Yeah. Philip Ekberg seems skilled. How does his skating rate? I don't have Ekberg ranked. Like I think that's the big weakness is the skating ability and the play under pressure. Like he's at his best when he's in the offensive zone and making plays or finishing. And I just don't like it being that size and there's not a ton of real physical energy in his game. I don't know. I haven't seen much out of Ekberg this year that really for a smaller player, like he doesn't really check enough boxes for me. And there's probably always going to be better players available.
Mhm.
Um, Other than Ravensburg, who's attracting first round interest from the Flyers and Predators, amongst others, would you expect the normal goalie rush in the second round, or will it be later this season? Oh, there's going to be goalies flying off the shelves pretty quick. Like, I'll tell you, people don't like this NHL draft class. They do not. There are a lot of people out there who I talk to who are like, I just want to move on. Like, I'm good. Like, there's like, I'm ready to move on. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, I mean, Ravensburgen's going to go in the first round, probably. I would not be surprised to see a guy like Ivan Kovic maybe sneak into the first
How many
round.
goalies go in the first round, Will?
I can't see more than two. I don't think there's two that are more than two that it might be worth taking in the
Okay.
first round. But like, I mean, in the second round, we'll see about Andrianov. I would love Andrianov in the second round. I think he's great, but like Medvedev probably goes in the second round. Beckman might even go in the second round. Um, there might be someone that jumps up surprisingly and goes in the second round. I'm thinking maybe I don't know. There's a lot of good goalies this year who aren't big. That's the thing. Like the big goalies this year are not the best ones. Like maybe you get Michael Pradell go in the second round. I could see that. The Slovak goalie. Um who else could be there? Burke Hood, maybe. Burke Hood from Vancouver, maybe. I don't know if it'll be Gabriel Daigle, but there probably will be a team that takes a chance on Daigle because my God, did he ever have a terrible year with regards to workload? That guy got absolutely hammered this year. 39 shots a game,
Oh boy.
47% of them from scoring areas, 21% of them from right in front of the net. Just a just got absolutely hammered.
That does not sound fun at all,
No,
actually.
no, but he's tall, so maybe there's, Frolov might be a guy that goes in the second round as well. There's going to be some. There's going to be some, and I don't know. I don't know enough about goaltending to really know, but those are probably the guys that I would expect to go pretty soon after. Maybe Henriquez, but again, he's not big. Teams will always go for big goalies first.
Hmm.
Sounds like the Hawks are picking Frondel or Dane Noyer. Who do you think is the better player or fit? I guess Dane Noyer. Like they're both in the same tier for me. I don't think Frondel projects as an amazing center in the NHL. I don't think Dane Noyer projects as an amazing winger in the NHL. And when I look at the Chicago Blackhawks system, they kind of could use some more centers. I probably would go with Dane Noyer. I mean, I don't know. Neither of those players are the players I'd go for at 3, but if I had to pick between the two, I mean, I've got Frondel ranked higher, so I guess you go with him. But they're both somewhat similar. Dane Noyer is a much better playmaker, but Frondel, I think, is a better complementary player. The two of them playing together would be awesome. So it's like, which would you rather? I don't know. If I'm Chicago, I mean, maybe Frondel because you already have some skill in the pipeline. You've got some size. Maybe you think guys like Poivert will be a good center in the NHL, and Nazar and Bedard, and you have a guy like Frondel who can work off of that. Or maybe you just want
Our
Frondel
boy
to be a
Oliver
middle
Moore
six
as
center. I don't
well,
know.
right?
Yeah, Oliver Moore is around. Like, I don't know. I don't think at the end of the day it's going to matter that much. It's just I feel like they're going to be saying no to some really good players. Are you ready for Brady Martin third overall? Yes, I'm ready for anything. I don't care. Like, I'm ready for anything people throw at me. Like, I don't care this year. It's going to be crazy. I don't know. Yeah,
Just make
I'm
sure
mentally.
you're watching our draft stream for it.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
all.
Yeah,
That's all we
I'm
care about.
just. I'm ready to
That's it.
go. Yeah.
Just please support our content so we can make billions of dollars so I
Yes.
don't have to work night shifts anymore. Even though I
Exactly.
like my job. I do.
Yeah.
Just I don't like working night shifts.
Should the Hawks draft Bill Zonon if he's there at 25? Probably. I mean, the only other guy realistically that I could see maybe being there is Potter, and I'd go Potter. But I love Zonon, and if it's not those two, and those guys are gone, then I go Nilsson. And if it's not Nilsson, I mean, I have Svirchek in that range, but I feel like if you're Chicago, you can get him later. So if Hensler is there, him, but he probably won't be. Kindle, but I don't think he checks the boxes for Chicago. So yeah, I'd say Potter, Zonon, or Nilsson realistically would be the guys I'd look at in that range. Um, Also, could the Panthers grab Zonon? I feel like he'd be a great Panther. Yes, yes, he would. You are dead
Mhm.
on. Thoughts on Tyler Hopkins and Cooper Simpson? Those are two of the hockey players of all time. I mean, I think Tyler Hopkins to me is a guy where it's like he kind of plays like like a third line, fourth line center, but in the OHL, which always spooks me. I just don't like. I watch him and I go, yeah, he's making plays. He's kind of whatever, but like the pace, the skill, the skating ability, it's all just the shot, the whatever. I don't know what he does in the NHL, so he's not on my list. Cooper Simpson, honestly, I've been a little disappointed in what I saw this year. Like I thought he would not be in high school hockey this year. I thought playing so much in the USHL, he'd just go back there. I wasn't super inspired by his USHL games that I saw, but he wasn't bad. Like I prefer Brent Solomon if we're talking Minnesota high school guys that are in the draft this year. Simpson's got some skill though, so there's that. But I think with him, I don't know. Neither of them I feel like will be high on my list at any pick in this year's draft. Two things that freak me out from the combine. Dane Noyer has two bad wrists. Like how? Hey man, you get hacked and whacked all the time. It's
Mhm.
possible. McQueen suddenly being 100% and putting the back injury behind him, no pun intended. Nice. That's a good one. I mean, this is what makes it hard, right? Because it's like they say that, and you're like, okay. And I watched those two players a lot this year, and both of them I didn't think were amazing. So it's like, well, okay, so when they are healthy, what do they play like? And I kind of go back to what I saw last 2 years ago, I guess, of those two players, which I went back and watched in the summer before this season. And both of those players were lower on my list going into the regular season this year based on what I saw last year. So, like, have I just never seen them be what they could be? I mean, okay. But again, it's about risk management, right? Not risk management, risk management. It's
Well,
like,
maybe both for Caleb, but
yeah, sure. But it's like, what are you gonna take that chance, right? Like a 6'6" center he's gonna need to put on weight to get to the NHL, I think. And he's already 220 pounds, who has some back issues. And yes, fractures heal and all that stuff, but like, man, I don't know. Like
being huge, like it's harder on your body.
well, and he did play, like he played this year, and I did not think he was amazing. Like I didn't think he was amazing when I saw him this year, and so it's like, okay, like you're telling me that I need to set aside a lot of things and put a lot of faith in an unknown, right? Like in a question mark. So it's like, when in the draft am I comfortable doing that, right? And I don't like. I think Desnoyers, the injury thing, like it explains maybe some of the shooting things that I saw this year, and maybe why his Memorial Cup wasn't amazing. But I also watched that Memorial Cup, and I'm like, this is the Caleb Desnoyers I kind of saw all year. Like he's good, like he's not a bad player, but I think against really good competition and against really, really high end opponents, it's like things get kind of shut down a little bit and he's a little bit more limited in his game. So none of this really surprised me. But then now at the end of the season, it's like, oh, but they were hurt. And it's like, okay, what does that set aside? And I don't know the answer to that question genuinely. I feel like if you're confident at either side of it, you're taking a risk. That's why in the mock draft we did, I kind of thought, if Montreal with two back-to-back picks, one of them being Roger McQueen, because people are a little skeptical, that's found money. You can take the chance, and I'd be more than happy to do it. And I think he's probably a player that's worth taking in that range, no question. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to answer, and I don't think there's a right answer until like it'll be a thing that in 5 years you look back on and you go, wow, these people who said this thing were really dumb, and these people who said this thing were really, really smart. When in reality, they might just be taking an educated guess, and sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong.
Here's what I will pose: Matthew Nyes. All right, where'd you have Matthew Nyes in 2021, Will?
Not. I don't think I had him ranked.
And why was that?
I didn't think he was very good. I didn't know that he had mono and a knee injury that year when he was drafted. That's what I was told after.
Mhm.
But I just thought that he was on the older side of the equation, not as quick, not as skilled, not as sort of physically strong on his feet, that I just kind of didn't really see much there. And the numbers that I tracked on him were middling to mediocre. So I just kind of was like, I don't know, like whatever. And 50 teams passed on him, or teams passed on him 50 times.
Really, the point of why I'm bringing this up is it's like for Will, taking Matthew Nyes or ranking him pretty high would have been a severe risk because he didn't know what was going on with Matthew Nyes and like all the stuff that had happened because he had mono. There was some other things like he was injured too, correct? At one
Yep.
point.
Yep.
So like you just have to identify just as long as you identify good players that you like that are going to work out. You're not always going to be 100% right about everything.
No.
But well, you weren't able to pick Logan Stankoven with your picks because like the
No.
Leafs didn't
No.
give you that chance. But it's like Will
Yep.
had Logan Stankoven ranked pretty high, all things considered, and identified the problems with Owen Power. And generally, like your list from 2021 is really solid, right? Like
Right. Yeah. I
beyond
mean,
Matthew Nyes, maybe Wyatt Johnson because he didn't play at all.
yeah. Well,
Like
that was also a fascinating one too. Like
yeah,
I was talking to someone about him, and again, this is the side of it that I don't get as much access to, which is like the behind the scenes, right? Like what's going on a personal level that they don't want to make public, or at least it's like it's not easy to find publicly. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's again, and I'm not saying that these two players are going to have the same thing happen,
yeah.
but look at Nolan Patrick, right? What if Cale Makar is on the Philadelphia Flyers right now, right? Like at the time there were concerns about Nolan Patrick and his health and all that stuff, but it was the Flyers made the judgment that it was worth the chance. There was some internal discussion going multiple directions there, but at the end of the day, you look back and you're like, wow, that was a chance they took that they whiffed on, right? Obviously not the same thing, but it's very different to take a swing on a Matthew Nyes at 58 or 59th overall or whatever it
Yeah,
is than it is to take like a Roger McQueen at 3, right?
absolutely.
Like and for me, like the risk tolerance falls somewhere in the middle, right? Like I wouldn't let him slip to the second round, but I can't lie. Like the people talking about him during the playoffs, for him to come out of the combine and be like, "Yep, I'm 100%. I'm ready to go. Everything is good." Based on what people were talking about in the WHL playoffs, that is not the thought that was out there about him then. So, like, I don't know what's really happening. I don't know. But the fact that he did all the physical testing and all that, fine and dandy by me, right? But at the very least, I'd want to get a neutral second opinion on what's going on there and see what's going on. But I don't have that access really. So thoughts on Marner being traded to the Panthers? That's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. That's bait. That's bait.
If it
Marner's not going to get
happens,
traded.
great. No, it'll be like
Marner's,
it'll be a sign and trade beforehand type thing. With like,
I don't think so.
yeah, I just
If I'm Mitch Marner, I'm going, I will sign for 4 years at 13 million, and then in 4 years I will be worth 18 million.
just please
Like,
come back home, Mitch. Please, please, I beg you.
yeah.
I
If
beg-
I'm Mitch Marner, I am signing a deal that will get me through this cap inflation period so that I can then do UFA again, re-up in a few years. That's what all of the Toronto guys planned.
No,
All of them.
just Austin mainly, like because Austin keeps doing 5-year deals.
Well, didn't Mitch Marner sign a 5?
I don't know. I think he would have done a 8. I'm pretty sure. Like because him and
Oh, it was
Tavares signed
6.
the same or 6
He
year.
did
Okay.
6.
Oh no, okay. I'm getting it a little confused. But I know Austin only does 5-year deals because he's gonna
Right.
want to get more money later. And you know what? I don't care. That's fine. To me,
Yeah, I mean that's a fair enough,
like
like
it's the player's decision to do that and make
yeah,
your money.
Nylander was 6. Yeah, Nylander was 6, Marner was 6, Matthews was 5.
Oh,
So
okay.
none of them went 8, right? Like none of them went 7 or 8. And so yeah, I mean like it's kind of funny. Like hockey is a sport that benefits from having a lot of people in it who probably don't want to put that kind of a pressure on a team that goes, "Yep, if you want to keep me for 7 or 8 years, I will do it. I will do it." Whereas there's guys out there like Austin Matthews who are like, "Look, it's on you to it's on you to want me to stay here, but I'm signing for what I want and you're going to re-up me in a few years," right? Like,
Hmm.
because you don't want to say no to a guy like Austin Matthews. I
Nope.
mean, we'll see how the current deal ages, but that's the logic.
It'll
Uh,
honestly, it'll probably age just fine.
Like, what if Connor McDavid were like, "Yeah, I'll sign with the Oilers, but we haven't had any success yet. So I'll sign for 2 years, 3 years, but I ain't signed for more than that. And if you don't like it, you can trade me." It's like, how much money would Connor McDavid be making now if if instead of an 8-year extension, he signed like 2, 3-year extensions and then a 8 after that, right? Like probably quite a lot.
Mhm.
But regardless, we're going elsewhere.
He's gonna get
Uh
paid a lot no matter what
oh, well,
happens,
yes, he will, of
and
course, right?
deservedly so.
Yeah. Would you try to find the game they are reporting about to see what your opinion of the? Oh wait, whoops. I scrolled way too far. How does McDavid skate this good? Yeah, I mean, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of practice,
Yep.
and probably some sort of freakish genetic combination that
I think
nobody else
he
has.
made some sort of deal with a demon in order
Yeah,
to actually
yeah,
facilitate him playing the way he does.
yeah.
And
Little
you know
Connor
what?
McDavid.
It's okay. I it's okay that he did that because he is going to go down as the GOAT if he wins a cup, in my opinion.
Yep,
I really,
yep.
or at the very least, he'll go down as the most talented player of all time.
I've got a Calc 2 final in 2 hours. Wish me luck. Nah, you're on your own,
Well,
kid.
now it's about an hour. Good luck,
Yeah, that's
man.
true. Yeah.
I hated school, so I hope for your sake that you get through it.
It seems like the Blackhawks pick is coming down to Frondell or Dane Waye. Could you compare and contrast? We kind of did. I mean, look, it's the same thing. This is the carbon copy of last year. It's like they said no to an Ivan Demidov and they took an Artyom Levshinov. This year, it's like you're gonna have an opportunity, and maybe I'll look stupid saying this, but like the idea of James Haggins sending pucks to Connor Bedard is so
Just do
gross and
it. Don't
is
overthink
so
it,
gross.
please.
It's so gross. And it's like, but they're going with the perceived safety of this guy's more physical, this guy's bigger, this guy keeps things simpler. And it's like, okay,
Well,
like
then you're
fair
going to
enough.
lose like the Toronto Maple Leafs do, if
Well,
that's
it's
the way
like
you think.
again, it's like you look back, right? Like Chicago, Kevin Korchinski, Frank Nazar, Oliver Moore. Yeah, those are good picks, but like Ivan Demidov and a James Haggins on the same team playing with Connor Bedard and all those other guys they've added, like, holy crap, like just bonker, like just so silly. And I think though, to answer the question, both are probably going to end up similar. Frondell is more off puck centric. He is more of a pure physical energy guy who has a really good shot. Dane Wyatt is kind of the opposite. He's a pretty physical guy too, but more of an off puck playmaker who I think you need to get him the puck in the neutral zone and put him in a favorable offensive position and he can create from there. I don't know. I think they're both going to end up in a similar role, like middle six wingers or a third line center, and they're going to be fine, right? Like the thing you see the most about Dane Wyatt is, quote, he's a winner. And that scares the crap out of me at a top 3 pick, right? Like I just like that because that throws away kids who are like in a team sport where you play what 20 minutes in a game if you're lucky, where 40 minutes of the game you're not on the ice. It's like you throw that away in the to go with the guy who's in a better situation. Like it just I don't know. That always scares the crap out of me.
Hmm.
The only UFA who should get 9+ is Ehlers. You're probably right, but guys are going to get paid a lot.
I mean,
Um,
Mitch Marner, too, to be
yeah,
fair.
outside of Marner. Yeah, the person said outside of Marner.
Okay, yeah,
What's your ceiling of Simon Holmstrom, in my opinion? About what he is now. I mean, he's
yeah.
better than I thought he would be, but I don't know. I mean, if when the Islanders are a playoff team in a few years, hopefully, is he going to be on the team or playing a huge role? I'm not sure, but he's fine, I
He's
suppose.
good.
I have
Like he's
I,
good enough where he's an NHL player, and
right.
honestly, like that is solid. Like he's just a solid, good penalty kill type player. At least in terms of, I think he's got a lot of short-handed goals. So that's where my
Yeah.
that's where that assessment's coming from. I can't say I'm the most familiar with Simon Holmstrom, but from what I've seen and the Boyd stats I've looked at, he's just fine.
Yeah. Um any we did the EP thing a little already.
Yep.
Which player comps have I heard or read from them is the weirdest? The one that I liked the most, and again, they don't give a this is what this player is like. They say shades of a player. And they gave out Roger McQueen and Evgeny Malkin. So that was a fun one. Um yeah, but otherwise, I mean, I don't know. Like Jackson Smith and Thomas Harley, that doesn't pass my smell test. But I don't know. Like I don't really try to pick through that too much.
Yeah.
Anyway. Any of the combine tests or measurements you place good predictive value on? I mean, predictive value, no, but I do think it is very interesting to know whose VO2 max numbers are the best, whose like cardiovascular health. Like that's hockey is a cardio sport. If you can skate and you can keep moving and you don't get tired, you're gonna do fine. You'll have an advantage. And those are the ones that I find interesting because cardiovascular health, whether you're skating, cycling, running, walking, whatever, it doesn't matter. Cardio is cardio. And so that's helpful to know. The other thing I do kind of think about a little bit is the force plate tests. So like the force plate tests are like basically a test of your lower body strength and your ability to like push and have explosive energy off of the ground. To me, that's the closest thing to uh like evaluating the explosiveness of a player's skating ability, for example. Like I know they do agility testing, but like lateral running is very different from skating. Like it's extremely different. Whereas force plate, it's just like a fundamental thing that your body knows how to do that matters, right? It's explosiveness. So that's kind of what I value. Other than that, like grip strength, whatever. Like you hold on to your hockey stick. Cool. Um, who can grab onto a hockey jersey the hardest? Like, okay, great.
When
Uh,
you get slashed, are you gonna drop your stick like a pansy, or are
how
you
much
going
meat?
to?
How much meat do you have between your bones and your skin and your hands, right? Like, I don't know. Uh, Jack Johnson. The only thing lower than Jack Johnson's credit score is his hockey IQ. That's funny. But that's the thing. Because Jackson Smith's sort of awareness and hockey IQ is the problem. Like that's the issue. It's not his talent level, right? So you're betting on all of that coming a ways, and so the talent is worth betting on. It's just where. And I mean, I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for him to have like a really dominant game where I've seen him do what he does best all the time. And I've seen less and less of it in my experience over the course of the year. What is your success rate when it comes to ranking quote steals in your opinion? Well, it depends on what you mean by steal, right? Like Lane Hudson at 60 is an obvious one, right? Like those ones like sometimes happen, but to me it's more about like really trying to keep in mind like if you draft a player really late, let's say second round and beyond, like relatively late, and they end up right with those guys in the 15 to 30 range, or
Hmm.
like do you consider a steal a guy who plays fourth line minutes and someone in the first round doesn't play at all? Like is that a steal? Like I would argue yes, but like not in the sense that people are hoping, right? Like it's like is a guy, like Braden Point, is that a guy who's a steal because he
Yes.
went third round? Yes, you could say that for sure. But like, I find it a very, very good performance if you get past 25th overall and you have a day in, day out player that you don't want to lose. That's that to me is a steal. Like
I
that's
think you have
valuable.
found some at least one or two players every year that go way below where they should that you are fairly high on. Like there's at least one or two players every single year that you pinpoint pretty
Yeah.
accurately. Like Logan
Like the
Stankoven in 2021 is a really great example of that. In
um let's see. Yeah, like 2020, like 2024. I mean,
You could kind of
like
say Dov, as crazy as that is, but not really.
well, 2024, like my team scouting draft class last year in 2024 in order would have been at 31 Teddy Stiga, Toronto took Ben Danford,
Yeah.
and then 100 and the thing that I always forget because I look at this and I'm like some of these guys are good, but I don't know if they're NHL players. But like the next pick was 120th and I went Luke Misa, Topias Hunanen, Daniel Ustinkov, Kieran Walton at
And
157,
that's looking great already.
and he's had a 90 something point year. Then in the 200s, there was Thomas Galvis, Daniel Niemanen, and Ludwig Johnson. So like all of those players have had pretty good years this year, relatively speaking, right? Like I'd say Ustinkov has been the most disappointing of all of those, but he's still very young.
Hmm.
Johnson has been amazing relative to what I remember from last year. I should have been higher on him, but I would have drafted him. Uh, like Daniel Niemanen went, I mean, again, 216th overall, went back and had a pretty productive season in Liga. I'll take it. Topias Hunanen went back and I think was second in scoring on his team in a pro level at 18 years old and had a good World Junior. Like Luke Misa had another really good year. And every time I watched Porter Martone this year, him and Misa together were so much fun to watch. Like those are all solid. And one of them was a top 100 pick, right? So that's where I think you find value with what I
Yeah.
do. It's not necessarily like I know who at 6 is going to be the best option because I feel like that depends so much on situation and development and context and whatever. But like at the end of the day, you just draft good players past a certain point, and the guys
Generally
that you just go,
small, skilled
yeah.
wingers that get
Well,
passed on because that
I
is
was
generally what it is, or smaller defensemen in Lane
I
Hudson's
was
case.
I talked to a scout about that the other day where they were like, I just don't care, but I do know for a fact that all of the best players available at my team's picks are going to be small forward that no one else will want.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I feel like we might end up with maybe one of them, but if I had my way, he's like, if I had my way, he's like, my list would probably look a little bit more like yours, but it's a team thing and it's not just down to one person. So, uh, yeah, but anyway,
Yeah, it's more about identifying what's undervalued, and generally it is smaller wingers that
yeah,
fall.
I will say too, like for the second part of this question, would you try to find the game they were reporting about to see what opinion? I think that was about EP, but I think to point out your thing about like ranking quote unquote like steals is ever since I've started doing this, I go back and I look at like who are the players that really popped? Like who are the
Yeah.
ones like who went outside the first round and really have worked out? And what are the patterns between all of them? And it always, 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 always like far more than not, it's just they're good players. There's some kind of flaw about them narratively, and they are clearly better players than a lot of the other guys around them. Like that's why I'm always about like, sure, you can draft about guys. Sure, you can draft guys where it's like, yeah, but we'll develop them. We develop and we'll think about the future, and in 5 years, that's what we want. Okay. Um, Personally, that scares me because there's always players. It's like, well, this guy's further along, right? Like this guy X is whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's tough. But this is the way she goes.
Hmm.
Uh, who's gonna join me storming the draft if Martone drops out of the top five? Hey, you might have to start sharpening your pitchfork today, maybe. Uh, Frondell, Hagens, Martone, or Desnoyers for my Blackhawks. I think Frondell's the best player in the class. Oh boy. To me, people who don't love him are crazy. Okay, well, I don't know. Whatever. Thoughts on draft questions? What is the craziest
You gonna
draft
pick a
question?
person for that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of nonsense in that question. Like Martone can't skate and Desnoyers bad. Um, I mean, I'd say Hagens because you get Hagens to feed Connor Bedard hockey pucks all day. Like I said this last year about Ivan Demidov. Like you get Ivan Demidov so that he can feed Connor Bedard hockey pucks all day, right? Like those two things synergize so well. So it's and Hagens is also very physical. Like he's figured out how to sort of be a physical player. Like it's anyway, whatever. Like so I saw someone actually in the comments of a report about the combine. I think it was on Sportsnet, and they're like, "Oh, what an entitled crappy kid James Hagens is for holding a grudge because people don't think he's good." And it's like in the actual report, what was said was Hagens was saying in interviews that like people forget like that I have a gold medal at the World Juniors. Like people forget that I was a first line center at that tournament, and he's right. Like he's right to recognize that he has accolades that are forgotten about in the context of those who have accolades in the last 6 months. Like that's what he's saying. And so it's like I don't see that as entitlement. I just see that as a kid who's going like, hey, don't forget about me. Like, I'm still here too, and so yeah, take that for what you will. But I don't know. When I watch Hagens, I mean, there are flaws, but he has a lot of upside. What's the craziest draft question you've ever heard about from the experts or sources? I mean, depends on what you mean. I mean, there isn't that much, honestly. The only thing, the thing that always blows my mind, I mean, I don't think this is like a question so much, but I mean, I remember being in Vegas. I've told this story before. After day one, I went out on the town with some people, had a few drinks, you do that in Vegas. And I was sitting with someone and we were chatting and it's like, oh, who goes in the first 10 picks on day two? Like we're just kind of messing around. And I go, ha ha ha, Gabe Eliason. And one person sort of stopped and like stopped eating their food and looked at me and was like, don't be surprised. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, I think he's gonna go really fast. Like he's gonna be one of those guys that goes really fast because of his size and how mean he is. And I went, okay. And like we had a laugh. And then the next day I got a text message from that person and it was just like LOL. Because he went like 36th or something. So that to me was like kind of crazy because yeah, that blew my mind. It shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. Um Sam Bennett or Brad Marchand are what people think are playoff profiles, I guess. But those guys aren't.
Those are wildly different players.
Those are also like not what people like that. Those aren't Caleb Desnoyers, right? Like people are looking at Desnoyers and he goes, "That's a guy we can win with." I mean, I would ask why, right? Like, what is it about his play that is like that does that? With a guy like Bennett or Marchand, that's a guy. Those are guys you can point to
Do
and
you
be like,
see
I
what
can see.
happens when Austin Matthews doesn't have a wrist in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yes,
Like, I'm not trying to listen. I love Austin Matthews. I am, again, one of the biggest apologists for Austin Matthews you will ever find. But if people are going to point that out about him, always having wrist problems in the playoffs and not being able to score goals when it matters, it's a problem, right?
yeah,
And maybe Caleb Desnoyers' role isn't going to be as intense goal scoring, like, definitely won't be. But still, like, it takes away from Austin Matthews' game so much when he can't put the puck in the back of the net because of wrist problems. So
yeah,
it's just going to limit his game potentially.
yeah. Uh, it's funny that Morgan Riley is 6'1", 225, yet we would not call him a big defenseman. Honestly, that's a very
Yeah,
interesting
he's
point.
big. He's a big boy.
Well, no, but I think he's a very good argument as to why just getting bigger is not necessarily good. Like I feel like that's a big issue with his game is that he plays heavier than he should be, right? Like I feel like part of me is that there's such a huge focus in hockey about getting physically strong. Like you have to be physically strong and like slow your game down to make it work. Whereas with a guy like Riley, I I mean, yeah, like the defensive numbers aren't amazing, but I feel like Morgan Riley at 200 pounds would be a much better offensive defenseman than Morgan Riley at 225 pounds. Like
Yeah,
that's
there's
a
a case
big
to be
boy,
made there. Yeah.
like that's a big boy. And for the style of play that he has, I just feel like that might be part of the reason why he's, as his career has gotten to this point, slowing down and not what he kind of used to be.
They also
I
just
think
don't
people,
let him play the way
well,
he
that too,
should. Truthfully,
but
like
maybe those two things are true at the same time, right? I think people misled Pronman to boost guys they'll never take and bash the guys they do. I think Montreal secretly flooded Seneca and Lindstrom with praise, so dumb it up. I think that's just conspiracy theory stuff. I think a
that's just
good I
you
think
wanting to
any
believe your team's smart.
well, yes. I think any NHL team that has any brains whatsoever is tuning all of this out and genuinely just doing what they think. The Seneca thing, all I know about Seneca is that that decision happened very, very, very rapidly at the very end of the process. From what I'm not James Bond here, but like a couple of people said that where it was like a last minute change, like very quickly switched gears. And that probably doesn't happen just because Montreal said something nice about him to Corey Pronman one day. Uh, just remember that 9 out of 10 people who stop gambling stop right before they hit it big. That is dead true, right? Never mind. Everything we said about gambling is untrue now. Keep
No,
gambling.
that's just not.
Spend all your money.
That's literally you cannot prove that. You
Yes,
cannot prove it, so I will not hear it.
I think it may be a joke.
I know.
Thoughts on
I know it is a
thoughts on
joke.
Artyom Vilchinsky, 6'4", 243 pounds. Uh,
Will
yeah,
loves
big
him.
boy. I mean, I think it's, you know, I think it's pretty telling when you have a kid who will be 19 years old in a few months, uh, that is like in central scouting, 6'4", 240, and projected to be maybe a late round pick. I think that's a pretty telling sign that maybe there's something going on with this guy. I do not like him. I think Vilchinsky is the Douglas Murray of this year's NHL draft class. Like slow, heavy, big. If you come right at him, he can stop you. But I'm not betting on him projecting very well, especially considering his age. I didn't really think there was too much really incredible two-way game from him anytime I saw him this year. And there are other big guys that interest me a lot more, you know.
He's draft, but like it's because he's Russian, right? Will there's bad
Yeah,
press.
sure, yeah, sure. We'll say that.
Honestly, that's probably why he's not getting. Like, it's probably a
I just
factor.
I just don't think he's very good.
Yeah, but even then, like, Central Scouting loves big boys, so could be that he's Russian. That's bringing it
mhm,
down because I feel like that does matter
right.
sometimes. As stupid as that is, does
Yep.
matter.
Yep. Oh my God. Now we're talking here. Have you watched any games of Leonid Levchenko? Okay, so anyone who doesn't know about Leonid Levchenko should go to his elite prospects page because you want to talk about a kid who is getting absolutely pummeled and demolished every single game. He plays on, or most of the season, he played on the worst team in the Russian Junior League, which is really saying something. I think they were a team of like a bunch of
Oh
16
no,
and 15-year-olds, I think. Let me double check that. But yeah, he was on AKM Novomoskovsk. So he split time between two teams, the second best and third best team in that program in the Russian Junior. It's very strange. It is strange there now. But he faced 45 shots a game, 17 years old, by the way. Saved 93% of them. Faced 80, what was it? 43% of those shots of those 45 came from scoring areas at even strength, and 19 came from right in front of him. And he turned away quite a lot of them. I watch him and I don't think he projects very well. I don't really like his athleticism, and he's a little small, and I don't think it quite works out that well. Like he's a guy who I think collapses to the ice and doesn't take up a whole lot of the top of the net. So when things are kind of in tight and against better players, I think they might be able to get pucks over him. But I mean, he's faced a lot of rubber and he's turned away a lot of rubber. So it's pretty amazing. There's not many guys that come along that face that kind of a workload and play that well. So who knows? Maybe he's a swing that someone takes and maybe he turns out to be incredible. Do you think it's a problem for Misa's development if he doesn't commit to college because he expects to stick in the NHL but get sent back to Saginaw, spending a year playing against a thin CHL pool? That's a very good question. Um, I mean, I don't think I'd give him an NHL job right away, but that is the risk, right? Like you run the risk of, because if you sign an entry level deal, you can't go to college. So it's a tricky spot. If a team like San Jose takes him, I don't think San Jose's expectation is to make the playoffs next year, but I think their expectation is to get better. So maybe that's an opportunity for him to play on a team that could give him some minutes, and you just kind of have a guy on your team where it's like, yep, he might not be the most amazing guy on the team, but he's there, he's learning, he's getting better, yada yada yada, and maybe that works out. I honestly, if it's San Jose, I would rather that than sending him back to the CHL to score 200 points next year against a worse CHL. I don't know. I would be talking to him pretty clearly about what his expectations are and really try to understand, like, okay, if you do make the NHL, if that's what we think is best for you and you're not a 60-point guy right away, how will that make you feel? How will that affect you? How will blah blah blah? Because we're going to need to make sure that, development is not necessarily about level of competition. It's about like mentality and headspace.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. I feel like the right team will be able to handle it well, but if you do set your bar way too high and you expect him to be a top 6 center right away and he isn't, then that could be problematic. Um Thoughts on Cole Cheeseman? How good is he?
Bruh.
Bruh. Um yeah.
That's our answer.
A
But
tree defense
we
yeah,
appreciate the pun to an
bruh.
extent.
Yeah. A tree defenseman that could skate in the 3rd round.
Are you
Well, those guys are gonna
saying like a literal tree or a Brad
yeah, a
living
literal
defenseman?
tree. Brad Tree living. Um in the 3rd round, I mean, a guy like Skvortsov, Daniil Skvortsov might be a good one. Sean Barnhill, if he's there, could be a good one. Max Sinichka in that range could be a good one too. I like him. I know EP had him in the 1st round. That may be a little crazy to me, but I like him. He's at the end of my 2nd round. Simon Wang, if he falls to the 3rd round, I don't know if he will, but
He
if he
will
does, that could be
not.
a good one.
There is almost
Um,
he's too big to fall to that
yeah,
range.
maybe a Peyton Kettles will be there, and that might be a nice tree trunk you could draft. Linus Funk, Aaron Dahlqvist isn't really a tree trunk, but he's a pretty big boy. There will be some options. There will be some options out there. Do you think that Hunanen and Serrato will get drafted, and if so, in what range? Probably. I mean, I could see Serrato getting picked. Hunanen, I would be surprised, but it would be nice. I think Serrato, just because he plays in the NCAA, that'll be a benefit for him. Hunanen, again, I think the offensive upside for him is pretty limited. I think you're getting him because he's a energetic two-way guy, and he kind of benefits from that. But like the shooting game for him is really underwhelming. But at the end of the day, yeah, I would probably think Serrato gets picked because he plays NCAA and gets lots of eyes on him, and he's been pretty good. Like I would like Serrato as well. Um, who would be the Ilya Protas of this draft? Oh God. Well, I mean, if I knew who the Ilya Protas would be last year, then I would have had Ilya Protas much higher than I had him. I had him 2nd round, I think. But uh Ilya Protas of this year's draft, I mean, Harry Nancy, like maybe. I don't know. Um, I don't think Ehlers is worth 9 million. I mean, he'll get it. Yeah, like you said, he'll get it. Thoughts on
Well,
Ryabkin's
why though? Like the
because
the cap's
well, I mean,
going up like crazy, and he's a really good player that just hasn't had the time of day always with the talent they've had in Winnipeg, and they've also just kind of pushed him down the lineup, even though I think he should have been featured more prominently.
I mean, the previous comment from this person saying that the Panthers are the better team than Edmonton, so it's like I feel like that's because Ehlers isn't a Florida Panther style player. Like I think it's like he's a finesse. I don't know.
No, he's got pace. Like
yeah, but
just
he's not going to dump the puck in your zone and then punch your head off.
Sure,
you know?
But if you put him in a system where other people do that for him, he's going to flourish.
Probably, but I don't know. At the end of the day, he'll get $9 million.
He was the guy. He was probably one of Winnipeg's best players in terms of like trying to score. Like he was the most determined guy I saw in like the St. Louis series at times, and like
Hey,
He really dude just goes, man. He really just goes, and I absolutely love him. One
yeah.
of the more criminally underappreciated players, I think, in the league, and I would not be surprised to see him on like the Carolina Hurricanes when all is said and done.
Yeah. Thoughts on Ryabkin's disappointing season? Does someone take him in round one based on last season's performance? No. Ryabkin this year, I mean, he was a disappointment for a number of reasons, and I'll tell you this: things are not looking good. I mean, I was frankly surprised to keep seeing people having him in the first round right up until this point, but I'm going to use the word that you hate, AJ, but the chatter on Rabkin is very, very not good.
Oh
Like
boy.
he might be a guy that is like a team looks at him and goes, "Look, man, it's the fourth round of the draft. You've learned your lesson." And Shadur Sanders style takes a flyer and goes, "We're here's the plan moving forward, but you're going to have to stick to it." I've heard a lot about Ryabkin all year long, like since September, and I don't know. He's on my watch list now. He's not even ranked on my list because it's like maybe he figures something out and there are things going on behind the scenes where I'm like, all right, if that can be worked out and he can sort of get back on track, I guess then maybe there's something there. But I look elsewhere multiple times in the draft before I go to Ryabkin. Thoughts on draft attorney Diego Budizzoni? He's fine. I mean, he's a good skilled player. I just don't think he's an NHL prospect. Like he could be a good college guy though, for sure. Like I think in college hockey he could be good. Favorite song to sing along to? Easy. That would be Everywhere by Michelle Branch or Drove All Night by Celine Dion. Those two are sick.
I don't sing along to songs because I am a well,
Well, you
I
sing
am
along to the Italian national anthem.
yeah, but I'm a trained singer. Like I went to high school for it and I'm pretty damn good. I know it's shocking to hear somebody say that they're good at something, but I am. And
Right.
for the small price of $2,000 and a concert hall for everybody can come out and see me sing, you know?
Yeah. Next season we'll book one.
But
Off season
right
content.
now, the song I'm enjoying singing the most is "Cult of Personality." I've gotten really back into wrestling, and CM Punk comes out to that song, and it is awesome. I love it.
Nice.
I love
It's a
that
good song.
song so
That's
much.
a good song. Yeah. Classic. Thoughts on Mason West? I mean, very big, very lanky. I thought the things that people said in the Pronman article were bang on, where it's like they're not sure what he is. I know he's committed to hockey, but like I just feel like he's tall and kind of skilled, but the rest is just kind of like whatever. Like there's not a lot of purpose in his game. Like he's a guy that I might take a flyer on in the second or third round, but I mean, if you take him in the first round, I mean, all the more power to you. Maybe there's a lot of upside there. He physically develops, but like, I've seen him a few times in the USHL and I just haven't really identified exactly what his upside is and what he could be. And I just don't know, but someone will pick him and do it pretty high.
Mhm.
How bad are hockey pucks for you to eat? You keep mentioning Hagen's feeding hockey pucks to Bedard. I mean, probably bad. I don't want to try, but I mean, I don't think your body would handle vulcanized rubber all that well.
It
So
would definitely not.
yeah, yeah. So maybe focus on the hockey focused side of the word feeding, here. Yum 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 yum. Uh
Okay,
yeah.
that was a
That was
choice
my
for you to
that's my
make.
eating sounds. That's my eating noises. I make that sound every time I eat. You don't?
I
Uh
feel horrible for Lindsay then.
Dane Noyer hits a home run. Oh my god, yeah, Dane Noyer hits a home run. That was a classic. That's a classic combine moment for sure. Did you hear about that?
No.
Oh my god. So was it Montreal? Someone asked Caleb Desnoyers uh, if you were stranded on a desert island with one person and a bottle of water and a baseball bat, and the other person had the bottle of water and you couldn't share it, what would you do with the bat? And he said, I'd hit a home run.
What?
Yeah.
What?
You're stranded on a desert island. One person has a bottle of water. You have a baseball bat. What do you do when you can't share the water?
I'm using the baseball bat. I'm getting the water. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm living.
I would have said I'd sell the bat and buy lots of water with the money for the baseball bat.
But who are you gonna sell to?
Well, it's a better answer than hitting a home run.
That is true, but who are you gonna sell to?
The fish, I don't know.
Yeah.
You could
Okay.
use
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bat. You could use the bat to try to hit
Yes.
fish in the water and hunt fish, and then you get the water content from eating the fish. Maybe.
I mean, I guess
Anyway,
you know what? There actually is a case to be made here about something that I think is kind of funny. I guess you're gonna just have to like, okay, the other water source is like not drinkable. Like, can you not actually
no.
drink from? Is
Well,
that
if you're on a unless you're on a desert island in a lake.
well? Like, I need to know the. I actually need to know all the specifics of this. See that this is why I should be a top prospect for the, or I should have been, because I think about, well, is there drinking water available? Because maybe I can use the bat to hunt things and get food. All right,
Mm,
big brain
not coconuts
answer.
out of the tree, you know?
Big brain answer. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
But like, why ask a question like that? And I'm sure it is Montreal because they revealed that they asked a crazy question to David Reinbacher as well about
yeah,
like
like going into war or something.
yeah, and like this with submarines and like if he would eliminate the rest, like one of his units in order to complete the mission. Like,
Yep.
what
I
do
think
you
it's
okay,
like
what do you want out of that answer? Like, what are you actually asking about? I think if I was
see
ever
how they
asked
think on the
I
fly.
think I think if I was asked that question, I'd be like, okay, so what's the purpose of you asking me this? Is it what I would do? Why? What are you trying to determine? Because I feel like this is, frankly, a stupid question. Like because I have no idea what you're looking for.
Mhm.
Just feels dumb.
Yep. I mean, I don't disagree, but I mean, I kind of get it, but like,
But
I wouldn't
why?
use those specific lines of questioning. Like, it's to like get them knocked off their game because they're so trained going into these events, right? Like, they're trained to just give non-answers to everything. So you come at them with something completely out of left field to try to like break through that veneer.
Well, if
But I wouldn't take that strategy to do that. Like, it feels too much like it's like we brought in a consultant academic psychologist for $50,000 and this is what you need to
yeah,
do.
it
Like,
does.
that's the kind of vibe it gives me. And it's like, yeah, but that's not, you're here to interview hockey players, right? Like, you
Yep.
should be, like, to me, it's like you should be able to put through like the ringer and like cut through their bullshit, right? Like, that's what you have to do is like find a way to like
Just make them
get
comfortable. Just get them to talk about
right.
themselves. Like that's look, I'm not a Brian Burke fan, okay? But that is the right strategy to employ is
Yeah.
just get like have them talk about themselves and like make them more comfortable so you get better answers out of them. Like that's what
Yeah.
you should be doing instead of like, "Oh, you're in this war and this specific situation comes up. Are you going to kill your teammates?" Like,
Yeah.
bruh, just if
Bruh.
if if the answer to the question they're looking for is why are you asking me this question, then fine. But beyond that, I don't get it, man. I think it's even then it's already a
Yeah.
stretch and very dumb.
Yep.
But hey, if it
Uh
caused them to get Ivan Demidov, I can't argue with it. I just
who's the
can't.
best oh my god. Who's the best overage player in the draft and what round would you draft him in? I mean, I've got a few in the same tier. So Galvis, Hunanen, Epperson, and Ludwig Johnson are all late second, early thirds for me. I mean, I feel like realistically, there's going to be guys ranked ahead of them that you could probably get way later in the draft, right? Like LJ Mooney, right? Like you're probably going to have an LJ Mooney there in the fourth or fifth round. So it's like you're taking him. But those are the guys that I think could go. I mean, I feel like realistically, Galvis won't be drafted. Johnson probably not. Epperson will probably be the first guy off the board that is a re-entry, and he probably goes second round, something like that. What is your version of chatter? A word you hate to hear? Ooh,
Yeah, so this is a
here.
question not directed at me.
This this isn't really
I can give you more.
the phrase.
I hate the word cringe as well. I don't like it. For the longest time, everybody used that
Cringe has
word.
gone too far. The use of cringe and the liberal application of it has gone too far. I will say that, and it has made the world stale because people are afraid of being cringe.
Yes.
Um, that's a shame. Uh,
I know a lot of people hate the word moist, but I've never really cared.
I mean that's the easy answer. Um, Oh, what was it? There was a guy I worked with who said something that it drove everybody nuts, but it was
Big sad. I drew.
yeah, the phrase "the reality is." That's I don't like that.
Fair enough.
That that one makes me because it's like it's used in a corporate like there's a lot of things I heard in the corporate world that drove me nuts. Like nowadays,
Deliverables.
in 2025, the one I hate the most, 10x. 10xing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
10xing
To the
is
moon.
kill. Anyone who says that, straight to jail. Like just straight to jail. 10xing. The worst. The worst. It's the worst, especially in the context of like AI. It's like we're gonna 10x our if you or the financial advice you see on TikTok, so-called financial advice, where it's like all you have to do with $100 is 10x it 3 times and you're a billionaire. It's like
Okay.
cool, great. If I pooped gold, I'd be a billionaire too, right? Like,
Well, this is
but I
this is
don't.
why we tell you guys to 10x the amount of money you give us, all right?
Ugh,
And
no,
buy us a billion coffees.
I'd rather you, yeah, buy us a billion coffees, but I'd rather you just pay the little bit and not 10x. Just oh god, 10xing.
That's funny.
Ugh.
I think it's hilarious that you hate that so much.
Oh, it's the worst. Using the word winner. Using the word winner in talking about an athlete makes
Oh,
me a little crazy.
I hate the phrase. I hate hockey IQ. I think it's just such a lame term.
It
I
is.
I just think it's so general, and you're like the way your brain works. Like you're gonna be better at recognizing certain things than others. Like you're gonna have like some guys will be better spatially aware about things, right? Some guys will have better offensive instincts or like how to shield a puck. What does hockey IQ actually mean? Like
Right.
there's so many things you can be really smart or have like a lot of intelligence with, and then you can have deficiencies elsewhere, but it's like it's a general blanket statement of, oh, this is just a smart hockey player.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. This is a good one. How high should Lakvadorj Davanayam be drafted, and why is it first overall? I mean, the kid, the kid,
Because he's
the
got the
kid
best
went to
name.
Crystal. The kid went to Crystal Beach Academy this year and was, I believe, a captain or assistant captain. So he's a winner. There's that. Um, I got to pull up his page here. Oh, it's not working properly. That's great. Um, yeah, Elite Prospect Search is not working properly. That's awesome. Really lovely. Let's try
It's
that one more
because
time.
no, I
There it
guess
is.
I guess they have you download the
Chav-
draft guide because if they put it on their if
Chagvadorj.
they put it on their website, it would just
Right.
crash everything.
Yeah. Lachagvadorj Davanayam, fresh off of a 4 goal in 5 game performance for the Mongolian men's team earlier last month. Kid's elite, man. He can rip a hockey pucks. I mean, when you score 23 goals in 6 games at the Asian Oceania Cup last year, the under 18, which needs to happen again, by the way, IIHF, that tournament needs to happen again because that was lit. To date myself to 2015, it was lit. But yeah, no, straight out of Ulaanbaatar, elite, love it. Um, Thoughts on Volodymyr Zakharevich? That sounds like a Russian oligarch or something, or like a Ukrainian general. He's Ukrainian. There you go.
There you go.
um, he's awesome too. I mean, when you play in the Hungarian men's league, the Erste Liga, you're a good kid. You're
You're a
clearly pretty
goat.
good.
What you
Yep.
are.
It's too bad he didn't make the Ukrainian junior team, but yeah, I mean, largely spent the year at the Ukrainian under 21 level, but maybe a guy you draft on the reentry next year if he comes up to the Erste Liga full time. Maybe, I don't know. He's no Mikola Kosarev though. I'll tell you that. Thoughts on the goalie class? If you rank them, who'd be top 5? I don't know. Pass. I will say I like. There's 4 that I like at least. Andrianov, Ravensburg, and Jack Ivankovich, and a reentry, Sergei Dolgov, who's 20, but I love him so much. Who else would be in there? I don't know, like Prodell, perhaps. Anton Melchikov is small, but he's really good too. Alexei Medvedev could be in that group, maybe. I like Sabelniemi, the Finnish guy. He's all right, but
Will liking
I
a
don't know.
Finnish player? This is
I know. Imagine that.
Not
Do
named
I think?
Brad Lambert.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Impossible.
Impossible. Challenge impossible. Do you think Bitcoin can 10x? Dude, anything is possible. It's 2025, man. Nothing makes sense
Donald
anymore.
Trump has a coin, and it's going up
He
because
does.
there's a lot of foreign governments that
Yeah.
want to have dinner with him.
Yeah. Maybe we should do that. Maybe if you buy us 1 billion coffees on Buy Me a Coffee, we'll buy our way to an NHL sponsorship of some kind. That would be fun.
It would
Who
be.
needs to go the legitimate way? Anyway, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you've been asked this already, but the Canucks pick at 15. Which center would you take, assuming they're available? Assuming they're available.
I think there is a very clear answer for you here. Colin
Eric
Potter.
Nilsson. Oh, Cullen Potter. Yeah, probably Potter. Potter or Nilsson. Maybe Coots. Zonon. Those guys will probably be available. They'll have a choice. I doubt someone like Brady Martin will be there. He's probably gone top 5, I guess, at this point. Jake O'Brien will probably be gone. So yeah, Potter, Zonon, Nilsson, Coots, someone like that. And that's it. We got to the end. So with that, we're going to call it then. Thanks very much for joining us. Again, we got a Scouching report coming out, 2 of them for subscribers today. And they'll come out over the next couple of days. We got another one for Friday. And we're going to do no shows next week, but we'll have content lined up for every day. And then we'll be back.
Very well may be game tape finally. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it very well may be.
Right.
Maybe. I admit I have a 12-hour work from home shift on Wednesday, and I should be able to get one of them done.
Nice. Well done. Yeah, other than that, we'll see you. Well, I guess it's Thursday today, so we're not going to see you next week. We'll see you the week of the draft.
I won't see you until the draft, guys.
Right, you're gone.
Yeah, I'm gone.
What do we have? And again, go to the YouTube channel. Set your reminders for all the shows between now and the draft recap show we're going to do. We're going to have some fun. We're going to play some games.
And if they
we're
perform not so well because I'm not there, we understand why. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
I'm the fun on the show, and Will is just the straight man with the stick up his bum who tries to keep things on track, and I try and derail it at least a little bit.
Yep, exactly. I never derail my own show.
Nope. Only me.
So yeah, what do we have scheduled here? So yeah, we've got on the 23rd, like a kickoff thing we're doing. This is a regular Q&A. The 26th is the draft ranking day, and we'll do like a party night that night. And then the 27th is day 1, 28th is day 2.
When's the mock draft? Like the
Oh, right, the mock draft. Yeah, that would probably be that week, actually, the 23rd. That's what I scheduled. So again, if you are like, wow, I'm an idiot. So that's our next show. So wow, time flies. The Scouching mock draft is on the next show, the 23rd of June. So we'll do that. If you haven't signed up yet and you're a subscriber, you get access. What?
The next Monday,
like the next show. Yeah. Well, there's no show next week, right?
No, but don't you have a show on like this Thursday that you're doing?
Today is Monday.
Yeah.
Right. I thought today was Thursday. So we're doing one more. So 2 weeks tonight. See, this is what I mean. The show always gets derailed.
This is why Will needs me, unfortunately.
Yes. 2 weeks today. 2 weeks today is the mock draft. If you subscribe to the site, not the channel, the site, you'll get early access to register. There's still some spots left. If not, it'll go public. And then it'll be open to the public. First come, first served. You sign away your life in the application as well. So if you don't show up, I have the right to throw you in jail and call the police, and they'll come get you.
Citizen's arrest.
Yes, a citizen's arrest, because being late is stressful for me. But yeah, so yeah, Thursday we do a show. It'll just be me, Q&A, lots of fun. Then it's draft week, and we're doing
week off,
5 shows.
Right?
Like, yeah, well, yes, you know what I mean. For the channel. This is getting very confusing and wordy, so let's just call it. We'll end the show here. You get the point. Go to the channel, do the thing, set the reminders,
support us,
get your takes in.
Yep.
Yeah. Give me money now.
Comment.
Money me.
Leave
needing money a lot now.
10x your comments.
10x the comments. 10x the views. Tell all your friends. 10x the thumbs ups. 10x the thumbs downs.
Doesn't matter. We just want all the engagements.
10x the cups of coffee. 10x the shirts you buy, 10x the stickers.
Unfortunately,
and let's have a good month.
If you 10x 0, you don't get anything, unfortunately.
We sold a hat not too long ago.
Oh, okay. So then we'll have 10. We'll sell 10 hats. Awesome.
I like that. But anyway, thanks very much,
Yep.
everyone. This was a lot of fun, and we'll see you on Thursday.
And,
Well, I will,
and I'll
not
see
you.
you for the draft, everybody. Love you all, and
Yeah.
I know you'll miss me.
I will.